What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Paranormies Present the Ahnenerbe Hour. I am Johnny Monoxide, and tonight I'm joined by Adam Haidt. And from the Alc Right Rises, we have Mr. Ignis Fascist. What's up, guys?
Yo.
How's it going?
It's going well. It's not the format.
What'd you say? I think you broke up there a little bit, dude. What'd you say?
I think it's the music. It's a little loud.
Yeah, it's the music. I said it's going well. I'm not used to this this level of preparation and this format. At this point, I'm usually
neither are we.
Hey, man.
Just kidding.
So so for a change, you're on our show instead of me being on your show. That's and I'm sober. That's how it works around here.
Speaking of 12 of our episodes, like literally.
Yeah, I know. How I'm not listed as a co-host is kind of strange to me, but anyways, it's we're back. We got a good topic for this week. I'm got a couple of quick emails real fast. Oh my God, Sam Tuminello. You guys know Sam, right? Big Spaghetti from Disdain for Plebs.
Yeah.
He sent us an email.
Shout out to my nigga.
Ooh, say again?
I said shout out to my nigga Dre. Sam will get this.
All right. His email says, "I seen a ghost once." Ooh. All right, Sam.
Damn.
Thanks for that input.
Call the Paranormies.
I know. Consider the Paranormies called. I got somebody sent us an email, the bunch of 9/11 quotes for some stuff to go with our other episodes on 9/11 that we're going to end up doing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. From Dan, he says the Israeli art students living in the towers leading up to their demolition is a really interesting angle. Doesn't get much coverage. The photos with hundreds of cardboard boxes in the window removed really gets you thinking and shows how they could clearly move shitloads of gear around the building. I could forward you some links if you have time to look at them. Keep up the good work representing truth, seeking in the alt-right. Dan. Yeah, thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
I looked at that. It's darkmoon.me. Yeah, and if you have the those other links, dude, send them to us. Yeah, any links that any of you guys have, any of our listeners have, with whether it's conspiracy or occult or supernatural or paranormal, whatever, send them to us. We look at all of them. Like I said, there's no, according to our fans at angrywhitemen.org, there's no conspiracy we won't stoop to. So there you go. Anyways, and that's it for emails. So we got no donations this week, but just in case you guys forgot, you can email us at paranormiespresent@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at the Paranormies, and you can donate to us at paranormiespresent@gmail.com. And our website is www.paranormies.com. We're still working on that. We're still getting it up and running, trying to get content and stuff for it. And
I just post all the episodes there.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that come out. So
if anybody wants to write articles for us that you want posted on our website, we'd be glad to take them. Just send those to the email paranormiespresent@gmail.com, and we'll get them on the website. Again, this is my first attempt at a website ever. I'm not sure if any other guys have ever done a website before, but this is a learning experience for me. So that's that. Anyways.
I gotta say, watch what you do on your Twitter. If you tweet about Stephen Paddock, you're gonna get zucked like Jazzhands myself.
Jazz got zucked?
Yeah, he got his phone number zucked. Just like the same as myself, except it happened 12 hours earlier for me.
I didn't see that he got the zuck. Yeah, speaking of Jazzhands, I had an opportunity to talk to him yesterday. I'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, speaking of Stephen Paddock, that is why we are here this week. Everybody's talking about the Vegas shooting. Why did it happen? How did it happen? What was up with Stephen Paddock? What was up with everything? I mean, like, it's a very, very strange story. The official story is that the 64-year-old man who's a millionaire, apparently has an FAA license, and a Filipino girlfriend, who spends a lot of money in Vegas, rented a room for 4 days, Thursday through Sunday, on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay. And while he was up there, he just snapped. And again, somehow, well, before he snapped, he managed to sneak in 23 semi-automatic or fully automatic, we don't know, nobody knows yet, 23 long guns, and thousands of rounds of ammunition, all kinds of magazines, a couple of handguns. I know there's in one of the pictures from inside the hotel, there's a handgun, some GoPro cameras and a tablet that he set up for surveillance. And while he was in there, he just descended into madness and snapped and just started shooting out the window at the, was it the Highway 91?
The Route 91, right?
Route 91, excuse me, Route 91 Country Music Festival on the closing night. I guess he'd had enough country music. I don't know. This whole story, to me, as a conspiracy theorist, seems very fishy.
I concur.
Yeah, there's so many things that are weird about it. Why,
And the worst part, I think, is like they just won't fucking tell us anything. So all we can do is just speculate.
Mm-hmm. There will be a lot of speculation on this episode, guys. There's we have no hard evidence. We have a lot of circumstantial evidence. We have a lot of there's videos out there from different angles, from people on the street. There's a bunch of stuff online, and there's a lot of stuff online right now about this. And we may never know. We may never really know what really happened. But we're going to speculate the shit out of this one. So, what do you think, guys?
Sounds great.
Like I was saying, I had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Jazzhands McFeels from Fash the Nation yesterday. Your guiding light in the sea of degeneracy, and him and I had a discussion about Stephen Paddock and his motives and theories behind what may or may not have happened. So I'm going to go ahead and play that, and we'll come back after this. All right, Twitter and Facebook and everybody else. We are here with, it's me, Johnny Monoxide. I'm here with the one and only Mr. Jazzhands McFeels from Fash the Nation. What's up, dude?
Hello, Borthers. How is everybody this evening?
I'm well. I don't know how they're doing. We'll have to wait for the comments to see how they're doing. But we wanted to have you on, and this is kind of an emergency sort of thing, because Paranormies usually comes out on Fridays. But this is kind of a, up to the minute kind of a thing that we're doing. We've been news cucked twice by the Daily Show. I'm tired of that. I'm not having that anymore. So we're going to talk about the Las Vegas. Yeah. Won't stand for this much longer.
I know how that goes. Yeah. Trust me.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what's going to happen on Sunday night or Monday morning that is just going to throw all my fucking show prep in the trash? And it seems to happen like clockwork. And I was getting ready to go to bed Sunday night, actually literally like getting into the bed at 11 p.m. local time. And I just was like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on here? I saw the news alerts and I stayed up until 2. Well, I know a lot of people stayed up all night, but yeah, dude, crazy stuff this week.
Yeah, it's really, really crazy. Apparently, some 64-year-old millionaire boomer, soft, kind of pudgy looking guy with a Filipino girlfriend somehow managed to get 23 long rifles, a few pistols, a few thousand rounds of ammunition, some cameras, and some other gear up to the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay, and shoot out some windows and take out 59 people and injure another 500 on Sunday night. That's what we got, right? That's the official story, right?
Yeah, that's the official story. Yesterday, like Chris Matthews on MSNBC was saying, this is an angry white man, and what angry white men do, when they get upset is they go shoot a bunch of people in a mass shooting. I mean, that's all there really is to talk about here, and now we have to do gun control. So back to you, Bob. And it's like, nah, nobody is buying this narrative I never bought the narrative that this dude just snapped. There had to, at first, the Coulter rule was up in force. We didn't know it was a white dude. Right. So for a while, it was like, all right, the Coulter rule, for those of you out in Rio Rhinelander, essentially is that, the longer we don't have any announcement about the perpetrator, their identity at all, the more likelihood that the person is not white. But then when he was a white dude, and now it's like there's no motives. It's like, okay, then he's definitely not right wing, right? So. Now it's just like a total mystery, because this is like, I thought, this will be all wrapped up by Tuesday morning. We'll have some kind of clear narrative, whether it's the truth or whether it's a lie from the media. And it's just been a fucking story that just goes on forever that doesn't fucking make sense at all. It hasn't until kind of today. I've kind of started to figure out, or at least think about what it could be, and I don't know if it's the right theory, but
well, you're on the right show for theories, bro. So
that's right.
So okay, let's theorize for a second. What are your theories?
Well, let me do the evolution on what they were. Okay. So the original theory originally was, because I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I believe in conspiracies, certainly with the Holocaust, JFK assassination, 9/11, the Oklahoma City bombing. There are alternative explanations to those events that I tend to subscribe to. We're not going to get into all those, but I tend not to, Sandy Hook and some of these other things. I'm always open to an alternative explanation, but I tend not to jump on the first couple of things I hear. And the things that I heard straight out of the gate, here's this video, this guy in a pussy hat, and he's Antifa, and this other stuff. I was like, I'm not necessarily buying that. I look at the video, can't tell for sure if it's him. So my initial theory is okay, this guy's social media was scrubbed. They're hiding something because there's something about this guy that's damaging to the establishment, whether it's his politics or whether it's his connections or whoever the fuck he is. We don't know what it is. You heard the sheriff say, made that slip during the press conference saying, he was radicalized. Don't know whether that was a Freudian slip or not. You hear the story that he could be ISIS. So for the last couple of days, I've been well, either this guy is ISIS or he is someone who is a leftist who targeted this Trump this country music concert that is predominantly Trump supporters. It was intentional. There's no mistake. The story that they said he was considering targeting a rap concert is totally fake news, totally fucking convenient, to throw off any notion that this guy was targeting whites, which he was. But those theories don't explain any of his fucking background, right? The fact that he's that he has lots of income and no job, that his brother is a fucking liar and looks and acts in a very strange manner. Got a pilot license. He was an accountant for a while. No, everybody around him says he's not really a gun guy. None of these things fucking add up. And his social media being scrubbed right away. It's you could believe that Facebook did that. You could believe the government did that. But I mean, it's I don't know, man. So now I have a much better theory on this. But what were your initial thoughts, yesterday and Monday even?
Well, my initial thoughts were, how did this guy, just looking at the pictures and the thing with the girlfriend's name, Marilu Danley, I guess her name is. Yeah. Flip. And the Danley husband guy. This is some weird sort of, I don't know if it's a love triangle or whatever, but it just that whole thing just kind of seems kind of weird to me. The fact that he didn't have, like you said, he didn't have any sort of military background. The interview with his brother seemed really to set off my conspiracy spidey sense. There was a lot wrong with that interview.
Yeah.
He was either lying through his teeth or he flubbed his lines, if you believe, the crisis actor theory, which I, as a conspiracy theorist, as everybody knows, there's conspiracies that I don't even believe. Like, I do believe that the one father, Robbie Parker from Sandy Hook, may have been some sort of state agent. Or this guy looks to be like he's covering something up as opposed to maybe flubbing his lines. Like, he doesn't, I don't know, just the fact that he kept saying, like, look in the public record, look in the public record.
Yeah, look in the public record. You'll find out in the public record. We don't even know if this guy's Jewish. He certainly presents as kind of Jewish.
The second interview. Have you seen the second interview with his brother?
Yeah, where he talks about the family's money. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But he it's not necessarily that he's hiding. Like, he could be hiding something. He also, his behavior, his mannerisms is also kind of like a guy who knows that something bad is going to come out. He may not even know what it is, if I want to give this guy a little bit of credit, even though I don't want to give him a whole lot of credit. Like, he may know something is fucked up with his brother. He may be in on it, in which case he'd behave this way. He may not be in on it, but he knows his brother is into some bad shit, and his brother, that's why his brother's like, oh, you'll find out in the public record. The public record will reveal that such and this and that and this. He's kind of given himself a little bit of a cover, but some people are speculating that the brother is involved, and he's guilty as fuck too. So
I don't know about that, but, like, okay, my brother and I have a younger brother, who's about a little more than a year younger than me. We don't speak as much as a lot of family members do, but I know enough about my brother to where if I was going to be interviewed by the news, I would know where he went to college, what he did in college, what he did for a living. This guy was like, my brother, he got a degree, he had a job. Look in the public record. Like, what? Like, what? Like, he had a job. You would say, my brother, he went to Temple, or he went, whatever, not Temple. Yeah, that's a slip right there. Like, he went to LSU or whatever school. You know what I mean? He went to LSU, and he worked for the IRS. There's another thing. He worked for the IRS, this guy, and he worked for Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, the Lockheed Martin thing really doesn't like, blow my skirt up. The working for the IRS and the fact that he's an accountant kind of falls in line with the theory that I've arrived at today, which I find more plausible. But I don't look at his career at Lockheed Martin or the IRS or whatever as like, oh, this guy might be connected to the feds. Now, may very well could be now in some other fashion, which I can kind of elaborate on here in a little bit, but. Yeah, the IRS background and the accounting background plays a part in the theory that I'm kind of landed on. But
but the fact that he worked for Lockheed, you would think that his brother would remember that his brother worked for freaking Lockheed Martin, one of the largest defense contractors in the world. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm not saying it's like, oh my God, he worked for Lockheed Martin. I know a lot of people that work for Lockheed Martin that aren't agents or aren't state operatives or whatever.
No, I'm saying that. I'm saying that not because you believe that, but there are I've seen a lot of people like, just immediately drawing a conclusion from that, and it's that kind of stuff silly. But
yeah, but look, guys, I don't believe every freaking conspiracy that comes out there. Okay, the Earth is not flat. All right. Yeah,
it's not.
Oh shit! Was I not supposed to say that? Oh shit! They're here. No. Where was it? Yeah, but the brother seemed really suspicious. The girlfriend seems really suspicious. The whole fact that here's another. Well,
thing. The girlfriend has lawyered up now.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, her lawyer was speaking on TV just a few minutes ago, and it's Alan Dershowitz was saying that he's they shouldn't have, the Feds should not have let her lawyer up, but. I mean, obviously she did, so she's speaking to the public through a lawyer. I haven't listened to the whole statement yet, but I'm sure it's,
I will after this. What I was saying is, now, you're talking about Las Vegas, Nevada. You can't steal a dime in Vegas without somebody seeing it. You can't, you can't make hand signals to your partner across the way at blackjack, and they'll take you out in the back, and you know what I mean, like the amount of cameras and video surveillance that is in Vegas. I want to see the videos of this guy bringing, I believe the sheriff said he had 10 suitcases. Now, for the people that are like, oh my God, he had 23 long guns and all this ammunition. How did he get it upstairs? Well, if he didn't have them broken down, golf bags. I mean, they're ARs and AKs. You can break them down and they fit in suitcases. But the sheriff said he had at least 10 suitcases. 10 suitcases. I've been to Vegas. Okay, I've stayed in Vegas for 4 or 5 days. I don't need more than 2 suitcases. And my toiletries bag. 10 suitcases. That's odd. I'm pretty sure that the bellhops or somebody, and again, in Vegas, $100 bill, Ben Franklin goes a long way to keep people quiet. But I mean, the fact
but there's video cameras everywhere. I mean, every micro gesture that anybody uses on a table to try to count cards or flip a chip into their hand or whatever is all caught on camera. And the fact that none of these videos, at least, have not been released publicly or leaked or whatever, I mean, it's just totally crazy.
If the sheriff wanted to alleviate, suspicion or whatever, he would just release. Here's the video of this guy coming in to, into the Mandalay Bay with 10 suitcases, kind of like they showed Muhammad Atta going through security on, the 11th of September. That security video came out really quick. Why aren't these security videos coming out?
Maybe because they don't have anything compelling to show on these videos. The things that are shown on the videos are things that are not. Yeah.
Well, but the thing is every single thing is videoed in Vegas. Everything except like in the urinal. There's
no. What I'm saying, I'm not saying that there's no video evidence of anything. I'm saying that what is on the videos, because everything is being filmed, does not conform with the narrative that is out there in the mainstream. So they can't show those videos because it shows something else. Now, I don't know if it does. Maybe it shows multiple shooters. I know a lot of people are debunking the multiple shooter theory. I don't necessarily know if that's the case. I think this guy was the shooter. He's the single lone shooter. There are people that think that's not the case. But the crime scene was a circus. It doesn't look like, it looks kind of weird. We haven't heard anything about the suicide note. You'd think that we always hear, whatever that note was in the picture. Now that could have just been a list of groceries. We don't even know, things that he was having delivered to the room. But no, my theory about this, just winding this up, kind of winding this whole thing up, not wrapping up the program, but winding up to what I think today is that, and this kind of makes sense. And this idea was floated around on Twitter, and then I saw Mike talking about it, and I started to think about it. And it's the probability that this guy was involved in some kind of gun running operation, or drugs, or both. And if you look at it from that perspective, and this was like my mind is blown moment this morning when I kind of put all this together, is like, then all the strange shit starts to make sense. That's what I was talking about, like with this dude used to work for the IRS. Like, he was an accountant. He may not even be a fucking gambler. He may be just somebody who is very good at laundering money at a clip of $10,000 to $20,000 a day through the casino. He has a pilot license. That sort of makes sense. He's got multiple homes. He's got income without really an explanation for how he obtained that income. Just being a good at gambling or a lucky guy is a great cover for that. But he went around telling everybody that he's not really a gun guy, and that's the story that people told. But if you're running guns and moving guns around like that, that's exactly what you would tell people to kind of get cover for yourself. And his social media being scrubbed, if it's true that he was a gun runner, dude, can you imagine if you were his business partners sitting in wherever and you saw this story unfold? I mean, he's got to have he probably had a kill switch on this stuff, and he'd have to have everybody shut this shit down. But like, the biggest thing with him and the other layer of this story is like, so the sheriff says he could have been radicalized, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what if the gun running to the Philippines really was about gun running to Indonesia, and we know that ISIS is there, and he's selling guns and providing guns to ISIS, that courtesy of the United States government, courtesy of Israel, and that's what he was doing. And in that process of moving these guns around, either ISIS found out who he really was, which some say that he's an undercover agent, and others say that maybe he was just a criminal, but he just got in a bind. Now the law enforcement say they don't know who he is, right? They say they at least deny that they've had any knowledge of him in the past for any reason, commits no crimes, doesn't do anything wrong, no nothing. Then maybe he ran into a problem with some of his business associates. But it's still like that whole storyline doesn't explain why he would go fucking Rambo from the 32nd floor of the hotel and shoot all these people.
Exactly.
Like, so that's the thing. It's like, here's this great narrative that explains all these missing pieces, but it still doesn't explain like why he did what he did. And I'll take a breath because I mean that's kind of a lot to digest, but.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I agree. I heard Mike's theory on the gun running and all that kind of stuff. But like you said, it doesn't explain why he decided to open fire on a country music festival. Another thing that isn't really explained is, if he. I mean, he didn't look like the kind of guy, that did a lot of shooting and whatever, but how much training, did this guy really have to be able to shoot that accurately at, what was it, about 560 yards? With with ARs?
460 meters.
460 meters, yeah, whatever it was. Yeah, 460 meters, that's a long way for an AR with a red dot. Like I've seen the pictures from the leaked pictures he's got an AR with a red dot sight. I mean that's those.
Yeah, it's totally unfathomable that this guy wasn't professionally trained or knew what he was doing in some respect. I mean, it's just impossible that this would have come out this way, but
none of the background stories about this guy justify the shooting part of it. Like
no.
all the backstories, no matter which conspiracy theory backstory you're with, whether it was he was sinking into depression and just snapped, or he was a huge he was a whale of a gambler and lost a lot of money, or it was the girlfriend thing, the love triangle thing, or it was he was a gun runner, or he was, ISIS. I mean, none of those. Well, the ISIS story actually would make the most sense for him snapping. I mean,
yeah.
Well,
but the radicalization may not just mean ISIS. It could also mean he actually is a radicalized leftist.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Halberstram today, and Halberstram was saying that it's entirely possible that this dude he is a leftoid, and he was so fucking gaslighted, as most of these people are, to the point where he actually believes that like white Trump supporters, MAGA-hat Americans are a clear and present danger to the United States as he sees it. And because he's also like a gun nut and maybe on SSRIs and all this other shit, that he did just snap. And it wasn't just an old guy like at the end of his life losing a lot of money kind of boomer snap. He fucking snapped because he was an insane fucking leftist. So that's the other potential. And then I go back to the whole, well, then maybe it is the government or Facebook or a combination of those things and they don't need direction from anybody. They go on, they get the ID of the shooter, they find out who he is, they look at his Facebook, and they're like, oh, this is bad for us, delete. Like, I mean, that explanation kind of makes sense, because it's like, your Facebook profile doesn't get deleted. It just gets deactivated if you quit, right? So Facebook could furnish all this information, but where the fuck is it? We don't have any of it. Do the police? We don't know. But
right.
Haven't heard a single story saying Facebook or whoever is cooperating with authorities to get all the social media information on this guy. But nobody's saying that, but they would be saying it if it was somebody who was a potentially right-wing perpetrator, or whatever you want to call him. So
right, yeah. I mean, all of Dylan Roof's stuff was available within minutes.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, who else? You know what else we haven't heard about since this happened? The Sudanese shooter in Tennessee.
Oh, well, we had stopped hearing about that minutes after they found out he was anything other than a white boy. So
this is true. This applied the final, like the last pat of the shovel on the, okay, it's buried, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Never going to hear about it again. Yeah.
Nope.
And now they're out there, like representing, whites as the ones who perpetrate all these mass shootings, which is just so demonstrably false. Mm-hmm. There's that Mother Jones study going around, and CNN and Newsweek have run with it. So, yeah, dude, everything is white supremacy, right?
Everything is white supremacy. That's right. Yeah, everything from what was it, milk to flowers to, everything's white supremacy. Taking a knee, the American flag. Is air white supremacy yet? Because once air becomes
probably
white supremacy. Yeah. Okay, so what do you think about? Now, this is really, we're getting into really Paranormies type stuff here. The Antifa angle, that this was, the 100th anniversary of the Bolshevik insurrection. And this was just part of it, and he started a little bit early.
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean... I guess.
Why would there be Antifa literature in his hotel room, or is that just the sheriff making shit up?
See, did the sheriff say that?
It's leaked from the sheriff's office.
Right. Yeah. That's where when the sheriff actually said during the press conference he was radicalized.
Right.
And then it was just like, oh. That's a legitimate thing. When I hear there is Antifa literature in the hotel room, I'm kind of like, this is like Wall Street staffer says Tillerson called Trump a moron, right. More at 6. Like, I don't really buy it. But
by Antifa literature, did he have what exactly is Antifa literature and at that too, What did he have? Did he have a copy of Das Kapital, or was it Rules for Radicals, or ABCs of Anarchy, or was it an actual ISIS flyers or whatever? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, all right. So if we're going to entertain the possibility that they found Antifa literature in this guy's room, then it goes back to this theory that he was just so fucking gaslighted. He views everyone, including the United States government, as an enemy. America's white supremacist, even the most normal, mundane, non-fascist things in America are from his perspective must be destroyed. And so therefore the Jason Aldean concert is the perfect target for that. That is the perfect Antifa target. I mean, the Antifa angle explains everything about the shooting. It sort of explains a little bit about the weirdness of all the different connections. It also explains, why the guy, but it doesn't explain why the guy has tons of money, unless he's being funded by somebody. But I don't know.
There's so many things that are just really weird with this. Where did he get his money from? How did he even acquire, if these were fully automatic? Now, you've heard the whole bump stock theory, right?
Well, he had 2 of them, I think.
Well, there were 6 bump stocks not attached to any weapons, just in the room.
Okay.
So, which would lend more credence to the gun running scenario.
Why is that? Red pill me on that.
Well, I mean, he's got gun parts. I mean, if he's selling guns, wouldn't he have gun parts too?
Well, I mean, whether or not they're disconnected from the weapon, I don't know. I don't know why that would lead me to believe one thing or another.
Well, I mean,
I would just think that maybe he just needed to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say maybe he has them disconnected because on the fly he needs to decide which gun they attach to. I don't know if these things have to be.
Do you have any idea how to put a bump stock?
I've never seen it. I would never use it.
You have an AR. You have an AR. You know how to take the stock off and on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not something you can do on the fly.
Oh, so it's like an in-depth process. I don't know because I wouldn't buy a bump stock. But
yeah, it takes more than just a second to it's not like a quick release and you put a bump stock on and all of a sudden you have this type weapon.
Right.
So the fact that he had 23 weapons up there, if you're gonna do some kind of shooting like that, I don't really see you having that many guns. I would see having more ammunition, less weapons. You know, 1 or 2 rifles with really high-powered scopes. You know, if that was what you were gonna do, because you're looking at, like you said, 400 and some odd yards away. A red dot sight's not really that effective. 23 guns, excessive for that kind of a shooting. And then to have accessories like, you know, a 6, it might even be more than 6. I saw a picture what looked like a bunch of bump stocks like leaning up against a wall. Like he had all these extra parts and stuff. So, you know, was he actually selling guns? I mean, or was this just like, okay, let's just put a bunch of stuff in this so we can take pictures of it for, you know, for the media?
But see, the bump stock narrative is garbage if he's a gun runner, because why would you even do, if you're trying to kill people from a far distance, like a very far distance, you don't use a bump stock. And if you're a fucking gun runner, like the legality of actually having a full auto weapon doesn't even matter. Like, right. And if you're going to be doing all why would you even do what you're doing? And that goes back to like, okay, well then maybe he is just maybe he is just like a guy that doesn't have, like, the only thing that makes me think that he's very sophisticated is like the cameras in the peephole and the camera in the maid cart down the hallway and all that shit. Like, wow, this guy's pretty meticulous. But
and again, how many boomers are that meticulous and that, you know, that sophisticated? I know boomers. You know, boomers.
Boomers that don't have any military background, especially. So
yeah, I mean, none of this. This smells worse than Laura Loomer's pussy. Not that I would know. But that's the narrative I'm running with.
Yeah.
Tell Laura Loomer to close those legs. Holy shit. Yeah, I don't see how this, like you said, like the bump stocks. Okay, so why are there multiple disconnected bump stocks there? Why are there, like, that one picture of, it looks like 2 chairs that are pushed together, and in the middle, where it comes together, there's like 3 or 4 guns just sitting there. Like, why would you do that? Oh, and the other thing is, he live streamed this. He had a video. You were saying cameras. He had a camera on himself, so he streamed himself doing all the shootings. Where's this video? It's got to be out there somewhere, right?
Well, the police denied that that he was videoing himself. I thought they clarified that all the cameras that were there they were trying to claim that he wasn't videotaping himself, that there were no cameras pointed on him, that the cameras, but that maybe that's bullshit. Maybe because they don't, you know, obviously, like the casino video cameras, they don't want to admit that there is footage of anything that they have to explain that doesn't make sense. So
I like the theory of that, like, sort of a hybrid theory of like what you're saying and like what some other people are saying, is that, you know, he was involved with some stuff, you know, whether it was running guns or whatever, and the people who he was involved with killed him and did the shooting. I have a really hard time believing that this guy did that shooting. I just really do. After having been in the military, having done a bunch of shooting myself, I just don't see a 64 unless he was some MK Ultra, you know, sleeper celled, operative, you know, deep state operative that somehow, you know, got a phone call and he heard the code word and boom, he went off. But I just don't see somebody, you know, who, like, you've seen the 2 pictures of him. Okay, 2 pictures of this guy on the entire internet. One of them, he looks like he's drunk with his eyes closed, holding a tequila shot, sitting next to his girlfriend. Now, granted, I've seen some of the best Navy SEAL snipers drunk. You know, when you take shitty pictures when you're drunk. Doesn't make him any less of a sniper when they're sober. But I just don't see this. I just don't see this guy having the kind of the balls, you know what I mean, to be able to pull that off. Plus, at 64 years old, your testosterone levels aren't that high. I mean, at what point, if like, this is kind of discredits the he snapped theory. Like, you know, at what point he shot off bullets? He shot off bullets for what? An hour almost? Like, you know. At what point did he go, oh, what am I doing here? You know, I mean, like you don't have the T levels at that point to hold to hold up that kind of a Rambo type barrage.
Yeah, I mean, and my father actually said that it's like when you're in 64 years old, most guys, especially guys that are kind of, this guy didn't have a career, but if you're if you're comfortable financially, you're just thinking about relaxing and chilling. Like you're not thinking about, you're not like going out there and like raging the fuck out like this. Like, so that's the whole thing with all these theories about like, he was a gun runner, he did all the shit. It's like, okay, fine, but like, why would your, like, if your business associates are after you, why don't you go grab some if you're capable of this, then why don't you go grab some mercenaries and like go take care of your business? Like, why don't you go handle these problems? And like if the government was about to crack down on him, maybe that might explain why that he would do this. But yeah, it's like we haven't heard anything about toxicology. We don't even know if he was drinking alcohol at the time. We have heard nothing about this.
Yep.
So
yeah, I mean, was he on any sort of medication? Was he on antidepressants? Was he on antipsychotics? Was he on heart medication for that matter? Was he on anything? You know, I mean, was he diabetic? Nobody knows. And oh, by the way, he's conveniently dead.
Yep.
Then there's that. He's conveniently dead. And there's several theories behind, not just theories, there's different versions of that. There's when the cop breached, when they breached the room, he was dead. There was when the cop breached the room, the cop shot him. So which story is true? Which of those, I mean, is true?
Well, and the timeline doesn't really make sense either. Like this guy was only shooting for what, like 20 minutes, 11 minutes? Like, well, I don't have the exact timeline in front of me, but it took them 45 minutes to find him, which sounds reasonable given all the places that he could have been firing from and whatever. I mean, yeah. So what was he doing? Like sitting in his hotel room, like jerking off with a pizza, like for 30 minutes? Like, what the fuck? So like these timelines don't make sense either. So
he could have been jerking off with that room service for two that he paid for. Remember that was the thing. That was the thing. Is his brother? One of the things his brother was bragging about is how like they tipped the busboys and whatever. And if you look at that receipt, he tipped $10 and a $70 tip. You cheap fucking Jew. That was another thing. I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah. That's just that for myself. I giggled on the inside, but like. It's one of those things like, hey, he's a Jew. I'm like, and that's the other thing is like the brother definitely has tribal tendencies. We don't know anything about the main shooter. We don't know anything other than the fact that there's that one picture with the alleged girlfriend, and just these really thin stories about him. What about now? Did you hear the I posted this in the group, the Michael Savage caller? Did you hear that?
No.
Okay, so a guy called into Savage and said that he lived around the corner from Paddock. That's the guy's name, Paddock, right? I've been saying the shooter because I don't want to say I forgot his name. Like it blanked at the beginning of the show. It's Paddock, right?
Yeah,
okay,
Paddock.
Thank you. Yeah, Paddock. So the guy lived around the corner from Paddock in Mesquite, and he said that he used to go to this bar that was kind of in their neighborhood, and Paddock would be there playing the video poker and drinking beers, and this guy, he was a former Marine, and he worked construction. I guess he had a couple guys work for him, so him and his workers would come in there every now and then and have beers and hang out with Paddock, and they would engage him in small talk. And he said he lived near him for 10 months and drank with him several times, and not one time did he seem like out of the ordinary or seem like any sort of a military kind of a guy, or seem like he would even be kind of one of those things. Never mentioned guns one time, never mentioned any of that stuff. He said like he would sit, even like the days he didn't drink with him, he'd drive by and Paddock would be sitting in his driveway with the with the garage door open, like having a beer, sitting in his driveway, just waving at traffic as they went by. That doesn't sound like the kind of guy that goes up to the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay and takes out, 59 people and injures 500 more. It's a really weird phone conversation, and it got taken down. It's been archived on YouTube, but it got taken down off of Savage.
Huh. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that it got taken down. There's some strange stuff going on, man.
Yep. And that's what makes in it now. When most people use the term false flag, you think, oh God, here they go again, these false flaggets with their, there was no actual shooters, nobody died here, there was no bomb in the Boston bombing, there was no airplanes in 9/11, there was, oh God, aliens put the people in gas chambers at Auschwitz. But no, this is a false flag in the sense that we're being lied to about the truth. Like what the real story is. Something happened. There were shots fired. People died. Windows were shot out. I believe we're being lied to about Paddock and his story. There's a lot more to that than, and that's what makes it a quote unquote false flag. So to clarify for those listeners.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And I don't think we're being told the truth. And it's just, again, underscoring the whole notion that I am not someone who buys into everything that I see. Kevin McDonald replied to one of my tweets where I was stating this on Twitter yesterday. And he said, he's a pretty, strikes me as the sort of guy that would be the same. And he said the same exact thing is that, I'm not really somebody that buys into all this either, but everything about this whole story is just totally bullshit. And it doesn't make sense. And it isn't just like, the guy was a registered Democrat and they're not telling us that. And that's the only thing that's missing from this whole story because that's what they're just like trying to conceal. It's like major, major stuff. And like, I think no matter what notion, no matter what like theory you subscribe to is that he did, like I said from the very beginning, it's like the Coulter Rule Part 2B or whatever, where it's like the longer you don't hear about this guy's motives, the more damaging they are to the establishment. It's like this guy was a unmitigated liability who went out and did this for God knows what reason, and he is, if they don't pretend like, oh, he was just some guy that snapped, it's all going to be a house of cards that comes tumbling down on top of them, whether he was a leftist or whether he was a government operative or what. Now, if they come out and say that this guy was heavily on SSRIs or he just had, and they're substantiating, corroborating evidence that says like, oh, this guy actually was like, he had all these homes, but they were triple mortgaged and he was like $500,000 in debt. And like we see bank records and, the girl was like threatening to leave him and stuff, then I'm kind of inclined to buy into the whole he just snapped scenario. But like you'd have to have all of that evidence there. Like I'm not just going to buy that now. Like, and there's just, even if all those things were true, there's still too many other missing pieces of the story. Now, going back to the brother for a second, do you believe that the brother has not spoken to him in 10 years? Like, not literally, maybe talked to him once or twice on the phone, or do you think the brother has been in regular contact with him? Do you think that's a lie?
No, I think him and his brother have been in contact. I think that's a complete lie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll put that guy on a lie detector, find out.
I'd like to see that, but, I don't know. I don't. He's lying about something. Like, I know when people are lying. You can tell, like, the whole, like, I play poker. You can, the whole, like, Mike Carroll wrote a book about poker tells, about people's faces and hands and body language and stuff and whatever. And, I can tell that this guy is lying. There's no way. He doesn't give a straight answer. He gives a lot of the, what seems to be like the type answers, where he's like, yeah, exactly. Very Jewy, very, very Jewy there, Goy. But there's a lot about the brother that seems really fishy to me. Like a lot about everything about this story just freaking stinks. And I mean, are they? Is it another thing where now? And then don't forget, Goyam, that Zog thought it was okay at one point to just, destroy the USS Liberty and blame it on Egypt. The Goyim are cattle and we're expendable. So, and it's okay to lie to us. I've read the Talmud. So, there's that too. We could just be being, lied to and gaslit this whole entire thing. To go really deep into the paranormies, this could just be some sort of, fuck you, Yeah.
Everybody's lying about everything all the time. Yeah, see, that's where I kind of get off the train of this is a rational explanation. No.
And I understand that too, but and there's at some point after looking at this with all the loose ends and all the doors that go nowhere and all these videos and things and the police scanner and the police scanners that are talking about, we have a shooter halfway up, and there's other things from different police reports from around the night that there were shooters on the ground and that there were there's so much stuff. Who the fuck knows? We're never going to get it all. We're not. And oh wait, the mayor of Vegas is a Jew.
Well, not shocked to hear that.
No, not at all. But I mean, if anybody would be in on all that, and I don't know, we can get deep into we will the rest of us once we leave the realm of Fash the Nation, which is more as red pilled as Fash the Nation is, it's normie tier compared to some of the stuff the paranormies talk about. So. And that's one of the things is we do this because it's fun,
we don't like to speculate too much. I'll speculate on political strategy that I find compelling, and we've turned out to be right most of the time. I mean, there's very few things. And I'm not saying that to exaggerate. There's very few things that I'm willing to go out there and say that I won't be able to stand behind, and that's why I'm kind of been skeptical about this thing, because it's sure, we could meme this guy into being a leftist, but if it turns out that he's an ISIS guy and he's his apartment is filled with ISIS shit, then it makes us look stupid. Even though if we were the left, then we could meme this guy into whatever he wanted, and nobody gives a fuck if we look stupid, because we're not trying to get credibility. The media has no credibility, yet they are on top. They can do and say whatever the fuck they want. We don't have the luxury of going out and memeing this guy into being something. So I'm careful about jumping on board with that stuff, even though it feels good to meme the guy into being a leftist. We don't know that yet. But the second and that's why for the last 72 hours, whatever, since this has happened, I'm just can we please have some shred of evidence that we can just – and Mike, I think, is frustrated with this whole thing too, because there's no good narrative. It's can we please just have something that we can say, all right, with the alt-right's skill set for being able to analyze this stuff, if we can just get a few pieces of information, we can understand the narrative, and we'll be the first ones to say, no, here's what really would happen. We know this because we know the patterns. But there's nothing. There's nothing
right.
there.
There's
nothing makes sense.
Nothing.
It's very frustrating.
In the words of Lethal Weapon, this shit is thin. It's really thin. It's really, really thin. Every single angle, it's really thin. It's every theory, every statement, it's just paper thin. There's no substantial evidence behind anything in this whole freaking story, and it's driving me nuts as a conspiratard, conspiracy theorist, whatever. Even as that, and I've, and being in the alt-right as long as I have been, I've been dragged back to reality with some of this stuff. There was some points in my career where crystal trees and flat Earth, were on the table. No, those are not on the table anymore, but this is there's just so much wrong with the story that there's no way. There's no way. The news is lying. The sheriff is lying. The brother is lying. The internet is lying. There's no truth to this story yet. We don't know. And I don't know that we ever will know, actually.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna make that statement, because I think some people who have made the statement that we're never gonna find out anything about this guy, we are finding out things about this guy. I don't think we're gonna get the whole true 100% clarity on transparent story on this guy. but I think they're not just they are not going to be able to memory hold this thing. But it depends on how bad it is. But I think we're going to find out more. In fact, I'm looking at the Joseph Lombardo, Clark County Sheriff, is giving another live briefing. It's 5 p.m. in Vegas time. So yeah, I mean, they're giving more information. It's kind of like, yesterday he did one of these briefings and they just showed body cam footage from the officers. It's like, hey bro, that's not the footage that people want to see, and goddamn well that you have the footage that people want to see. Like, stop stroking everybody's dick with this stuff. But so
no, we want to see that. We want to see the footage of him bringing in the 10 suitcases. We want to see the footage of him, coming out of the elevator. We want to see the footage. We want to see. They have the GoPros. We want to see the GoPro footage. We want, what I mean? We want to see all that stuff. But I don't think we will.
Nope.
And like you said, depending on how bad his background really becomes, and as fast as they scrubbed it, I would believe that he could be damaging. Like, his background could be damaging to this whole narrative. Maybe he is some sort of CIA spook. Maybe he is, America's top assassin. That we've never heard of.
Now, what do you think about this stuff that they found on Poll? I retweeted some of this stuff because it seemed like it was somewhat, people are saying that his plane, if you look up the tail number on the plane, it belongs to someone who used to work in the Obama administration. I don't know how plausible that is. You also have this story with him where they were saying, what was it? Just the theories that the Las Vegas police know the true motive behind this guy and all that. But it's like, see, the problem that I have with this stuff written on Poll is during the campaign, you had people going on Poll and saying, making all these, pretending to be the FBI or pretending to be some kind of a spook, and saying all this stuff about what's going to happen next with Hillary and what's going to happen next, and she's going to jail, and TikTok, wait, the fuse is burning, like there's something coming, and then it never does. And so now when I see these FBI agents on Poll, these people posing as them and saying, here's what the inside take is, and here's what my boss said. It's like, nice. Dude, get the fuck out of here. It's all bullshit. It's all not all bullshit, but a lot of it is bullshit. And these guys are saying the Las Vegas police know all this stuff and they're not telling anybody. But then I also see that, the Las Vegas police are not involved with this. It's the FBI who's investigating this. So, like, who's investing? You know how you always see on these stupid crime shows that it's like, it's our jurisdiction now. Right. It's like,
you guys leave the crime scene. This is our jurisdiction. To hand over the evidence there.
Who's in charge? So the sheriff Lombardo's on the TV. Like, so is he the guy leading the investigation? He's the guy doing the debriefing. They're trying to make it seem like, oh, we're all cooperating. So it's like, I guess it doesn't matter, but I'm just skeptical whenever I see these guys posing as like insiders, and then they say what's going to happen.
These insiders guys, like, nice try, Wyatt.
Oh, Wyatt, man.
I know.
Poor Wyatt.
We miss you. We miss you.
Yeah.
Kind of. But Wyatt would have a hot take on this for sure. And it would
Wyatt's take would be Wyatt would have a great hot take on this, and then you would just believe whatever the opposite of that hot take is.
And that's how that would work. It would come true, and that's how it would happen. Yep.
Yeah, he's our weather vane,
That's right.
So
he was F.
Anyways. F. Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, oh shit, dude. So yeah, you want to let's wrap this up. We're almost at an hour, dude. This has been quick. Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
So yeah, give me your final Fash the Nation, Jazzhands, McFeels take on the Las Vegas shooting situation.
Final take on the Las Vegas shooting situation is everything we're being told is a lie. The Flip girlfriend has lawyered up, which is exactly what the Jews do not want her to do, but she did. You know, they invented this game, so she did the right thing if she's guilty, and so that seems to lend itself to her knowing some things about this guy that are not legitimate. And so I think we're going to learn more about him. I don't know what is more dangerous to the establishment, that he was a leftist or a spook, but they all seem pretty bad no matter what way you cut it. And the final take is, I do not buy that he was just an angry boomer who snapped. I still don't buy that. So it's one of those. It's one of the other items. So,
right on. Well, thank you, Mr. Jazzhands McFeels. We have the Fascination take on the Paranormies. Thanks for coming on, dude. That was cool of you.
Yeah, bro.
All right. Well, we're gonna send this back to the regular show now. All right. We'll talk to you later, bro. So that was Jazzhands McFeels and myself with the Fascination take on the Las Vegas shooting. A lot of speculation over whether or not he was a gun runner or he was, radicalized by ISIS, or whether he was, just radicalized by Antifa. What do you guys think of the Antifa angle first?
That one, okay, here, if it was like some kind of left-wing lunacy, here's what I think it would have played out as. And I'll just preface this because, I don't want to be that guy. A lot of these are just ideas that I saw on poll. And, it's stuff that I just didn't think about, but I think is interesting. But if it was some kind of radical left-wing Antifa type thing, it probably, that would be the reason that the motive has been buried.
Mm-hmm.
That would, because they don't want that to happen. That's the last thing they want. I see some people think that this is like trying to incite a race war, which is retarded, because that's the last thing that the powers that be want. They want to keep things like I don't think that they would do something like this to stir up a race war. And would they do it to have a convenient way to enact a shitload of gun control? Definitely. But the left-wing thing, maybe it was he planned it out. He wanted to kill a bunch of like white Trump supporters. He maybe had so many guns because there were supposed to be multiple people, and somebody found out about it that could have done something to prevent it because they know how bad it would look. So they buried it. They apparently, maybe Stephen didn't, he knew the jig was up when nobody showed up at the appointed time. So he just said, fuck it, I'll do it. And that's why there's so many guns that he had there that were, we have no idea which guns were used and which weren't. We'll probably never know. But certainly, I think it's pretty unrealistic to think that he used every single one. Now, maybe he was just fucking crazy and he brought them all. That's a possibility.
No, this guy. Well, see, I happen to believe in the left wing, the narrative that he was a leftist. I don't know to what extent. And I'm not like going to derail your thing, because I have a separate like theory that involves this.
No, please go on.
But one thing I would say, okay, well, I think that Stephen Paddock was, the conspiracy is not so much as it's, okay, let me backtrack. The entire white nationalist community right now is grasping at straws, and they the initial, they want to look for reasons why it couldn't be a white guy. So of course they're going to, it's the deep state trying to start a race war. That's the simplest thing, it's your go-to thing. I disagree. I think he was just left wing. He was crazy. He was rich. And I'm not going to explain the details, because I'm sure we'll get into a deeper discussion, throughout this episode. But I think the reason why the sketchiness is there in regards to releasing information is because this definitely does have to do with politics, because we know in the intelligence community, there are warring factions right now, and I believe that there is a faction that does not want it to get out that this guy was a leftist. I'm not sure if he was doing this to start anything or target Trump supporters, or if he was just simply a leftist and happened to be crazy who shot people. But the point is, I think they're suppressing the fact that he is a registered Democrat.
Now,
that's a possibility.
I mean, before I forget, I want to just offer what I think is kind of the banal, sort of kosher explanation for why it's being buried. Not necessarily because I think it's like the only reason or the biggest reason, but Las Vegas and the state of Nevada have a huge interest in burying this in order to minimize disruption in the tourist flow.
Right.
And I think that's not the... Like, because there could be multiple reasons for trying to bury this thing, right? You could have several there's probably dozens of interested groups that want to make this shit memory hold and out of the news cycle ASAP. And I think it's very reasonable to expect that one of those groups is Las Vegas casinos, because these fucking people, they're all basically criminals. They conspire to do this kind of shit, I'm sure. And the state of Nevada don't want their money interrupted.
Right. No, you're exactly right. No, I think the amount of speculation and research I've been doing, it hasn't been really focusing on the motive of the shooter. It's been investigating other like aspects of the shooting, like, reports of ground shooters and, multiple locations and, hostages shooting from different windows. I think examining these details is going to lead us closer to finding out the motives than building our case from, okay, he's a gun runner and this is why he did it.
Why do you think the arms deal thing is bad? Because I have my own reasons, but you sound like you have a lot more. I just basically, mine is like, why the hell would they try and do that in the most heavily surveilled place probably in the United States besides like the White House and the Pentagon?
Yeah, that's one of my things too, is you can't steal a dime in Vegas without somebody seeing it. And this guy somehow managed to get, bags and bags of weapons up to the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay,
Now, apparently there's a helipad. So he could have been brought down. He might not have had to bring it up. If, let's say that it's an arms deal thing.
Right.
Those weapons are designed, when you think about it, they're just pretty much as long as your arm. They're designed for lightweight ergonomic use. So it's not like out of the complete question that he just put like 16 rifles in assorted suitcases and carried it up over. Yeah, I think he had the room since like the 28th or something like that.
He had it since Thursday. So yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So he had it for 4 days, and it's completely possible. I mean, like, say the guy, you can put him in golf bags. There's a lot of golfing there. Not a lot, but there's golfing there. And ARs and AKs are easily, broken down. They said they found a bunch of bump stocks just sitting there that weren't on anything, which is weird to me because why would, and the bump stock theory is a whole nother thing, but they said they found a bunch of them just sitting there. Like, why weren't they on weapons? Why were they just sitting, lined up at, by the air conditioner or whatever?
Because they're shitty. Like, if you talk to gun enthusiasts, they think that they're just like shitty pieces of, it's like a gimmick, and they're not reliable, break easily. So I mean, that could just be he wanted to have backup.
I mean, that's a rather thin explanation, but yeah, I guess, well, why did he bring them as backup? Why weren't they on the weapons? A bump stock isn't like, have you ever disassembled an AR or an AK?
No.
Yeah. Taking the stock off and putting it back on is not like, it's not like a quick change battery on a Makita drill. You know what I mean? It involves a few minutes, and if you've got 8 of them. I mean, the other thing is, if this guy's going to commit this huge act of genocide, you know, if it's planned, if this whole thing was planned, if I'm planning something like that, I don't think I'm going to need 23 guns. I might need 2, you know, 1 in each window, maybe 3, whatever, but and a bunch of ammunition. To have 23 guns up in that room just seems odd for, it kind of lends a little bit of credence, in my opinion, to the gun running thing. But then at the same time, I mean, like, why would he have bump stocks, you know, there to sell to? I mean, like, to these people, like, bump stocks aren't something. If you're dealing guns to an insurgency in the Philippines, you know, a bump stock isn't something that these people are going to use. You know what I mean? It's not really. You don't see those too much in the field. You know, like you said, the gun enthusiasts think they're pieces of shit. So, I don't know.
They're cool though. Don't get me wrong.
It's a cool little gimmicky thing, yeah.
One thing about the amount of guns is, you know, you could take that and apply it to this guy was a fucking lunatic theory, because like Charles Whitman, who was the Texas Tower sniper, he also brought a bunch of guns, but he only really used 1. So like,
how many guns did he bring?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He brought 2 handguns, 4 long guns. One of them is a shotgun that looks like it is probably sawed down below the legal limit. So I think this tower sniper guy might have been a criminal.
Maybe, you think? All right. Well, listen, we've gone over an hour with the interview here. Let's put a song in here, and we'll come back and we'll discuss some more of this stuff. How about that?
I'll say one thing about this arms dealer theory. I don't buy this theory simply because I don't understand why a botched arms deal would result in firing upon like thousands of people.
Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to get into too, and that's we don't have time right now to do. We'll get it in the second half. So let's do that, and we'll come back after this song. And I don't have a suggestion from this week. We got one from last week. It goes with our werewolf episode. Why don't you just stick that one in there? Yeah, this is Babylon Horrors with Radio Werewolf, and we'll come back after this.
Radio Werewolf.
All right, everybody, we're back. This is still the Paranormies Present, the Ahnenerbe Hour. I'm still Johnny Monoxide with Adam Haidt and Ignis Fatus. Did I always say that wrong? Is it Fascist? Fatus? How do you say your name?
I believe it's like I think it's like fatuous. Not sure. It's Latin, it's Latin. It's a dead language. The foolish fire, the willow wisp.
That's right, the foolish fire, that's right. But we're here. We're talking about Stephen Paddock and the Las Vegas shooting. Before we went to break, we were talking about the gun running aspect of this and how he could possibly be another, what's his name there? Eugene Hassenfuss. You guys remember him, right?
Refresh my memory.
He was a former Marine who he flew weapons down to Nicaragua to the Contras. His plane got shot down in '86, and he got 30 years for terrorism and other charges and stuff. So, he was. I don't know if it turned out that he was a rogue CIA agent or FBI or whatever, but so that he was captured. He was captured by the Nicaraguan government, and he had actually dropped supplies to CIA agencies in Southeast Asia, and that his flights in Nicaragua were supervised by the CIA. So here we go again, the deep state. But so this is what people are saying, is that this Stephen Paddock guy is another one of those.
See, I don't see, I can buy that he was a gun runner and like he also happened to be a sadist who decided to fire on this crowd. But I still don't know how to connect the fact that it's like a botched arms deal. Like it could very well be true, and if I wouldn't doubt it. It says he and Lockheed Martin is keeping a pretty close lid on this, a pretty tight lid on this. But this guy in between 1983 and 86 or something like that worked for a company that was a predecessor to Lockheed Martin. Obviously the merger didn't happen then, but I don't know. They're a defense contractor. They're with DoD contractors. That's the shit I saw. Listen, I know the conspiracy theories about Afghanistan and the men who are sitting in Leavenworth for slaughtering villages of people when there were DoD contractors in the same vicinity. But I don't see that this is like why he did it. I don't see that the arms deals are why
I just don't see that's one of my whole things about any of whatever he did beforehand. Like, why shoot up the music festival? Like, what's the deal with shooting up the music festival at all? Like, if it was a botched arms deal, say he had 2 ISIS guys or whatever coming to buy guns from him, the deal went south, they killed him and just started shooting people for no reason. Let's test out these guns, Ahmed. I don't get that. And if it was just him, the boomer. The boomer mentality isn't really like, you're talking about a 64-year-old man. He's probably running on low T. I don't know how much testosterone it would take to get up there and do all that shit.
No, it could. Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
How about this? So apparently, I've been trying to find this, and the best connection I have, apparently the top floors of the Four Seasons Hotel there, the Mandalay Bay, are owned by a Saudi prince, Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince. So he's going to be king. Now, I tried Googling this because I saw this in, of course, a poll post. I've tried Googling. I haven't tried super hard. The best I can find is him, or there's a Four Seasons hotel in Riyadh that apparently he was, at a conference center or something like that. But let's say that's true. Let's say that he does own those floors. And you could probably confirm it. We know that the Saudi government was involved in funding, training, getting 9/11 off the ground.
Right.
Pardon that pun. And so this would be a good place, like, to basically, like, having just an arms deal here is retarded because of how much surveillance there is. Mm-hmm. Now, if you own the place and you can just say, like, hey, turn off the CCTVs in this area during these times, and you can just have that done, then that makes it a good place to either do any kind of crime, really. If you're trying to plan a shooting, you want to move all the guns in there, you just be like, hey, turn off the CCTV for 5 minutes. Like, turn off the cameras for 5 minutes while we move this stuff from the helipad. And so that would be, if this, because ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack, and now some people say that they claim responsibility for pretty much everything. I don't know if that's true. I'm not really an expert. That would be how it could be, like, because like I said, the arms deal thing, I don't think it has legs. Like, this was obviously planned to be an attack. I think it was planned to be an attack from the very beginning.
Right. Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I don't see how it could have just, accidentally turned into a mass shooting like that unless it was set up. I mean, especially with the amount of ammunition that he had up there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, hey, Larry, are you there? Hello?
I am here. Yeah, I was just listening.
Oh, hello, Goy. Yeah, we added Mr. Larry Ridgeway, also from the Alc Right Rises. He's going to come in and help us speculate some more.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Anytime, bro.
Yeah.
Hammer and Borther. So we're speculating on whether or not Stephen Paddock was a gun runner. What's your opinion on that, Larry?
I don't know, man. He looks like incredibly boring. I think it's more likely that that's the case than what like the media is telling us, with his girlfriend saying about him like laying in bed and screaming and shit. I mean, how else would he?
What about the girlfriend telling what now?
Yeah, I was actually just reading this like 5 minutes ago on NBC News, 6:41 this evening. It was put out. Mary Lou Danley was telling FBI officials. She said he would lie in bed just moaning and screaming, "Oh my God!" One of the former officials said.
Oh my!
Yeah,
in bed screaming, "Oh my God!"
Probably think about his Social Security check. Wasn't coming in. It was like a day late.
Well, he's a millionaire, so I mean, he's eating the good cat food.
I don't think you understand how much Social Security means to boomers.
I do.
It's not about getting the money. It's the fact that they fucking paid into it their whole lives, and it's there for them.
It's in that envelope with their name on it, and then when it's time, the Social Security people thumb through all the envelopes alphabetically, and there's their envelope. Right? Is that how it works? No, it's not.
Yeah, that's why it was late.
That's not how it works. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not buying the gun running story myself. I'm also seriously not buying the fact that there was just one shooter. There have been many reports from the police scanners to the people to the eyewitnesses to the different the cab driver videos that have gone by. Now, we were told that the shooting took place on the 32nd floor, and there is a cab driver driving by who has video of what looks like muzzle flashes coming out of the 4th floor. And what was the guy's name? I can't remember. I watched the video of this earlier today. This gun guy took a video of a belt-fed 240, which and ran a couple of belts through it and recorded that, and then overlaid that over the sounds of the shots coming from what was the 4th floor, and it matched up almost identically. It sounds like this was a belt-fed, probably a 7.62, like maybe a belt-fed AK type weapon, but yeah, the 4th floor. So that would indicate a second shooter. So what do you guys think about that?
No, see, this is actually okay. Well, this isn't addressing the 4th floor theory, so I'll wait. I don't want to step on that. So you guys go ahead.
The only sort of rebuttal I've heard about the fourth floor thing is that apparently there had been like there's just some dude with a strobe light, and that apparently like people have been complaining about him for a while. But that's the kosher response I've seen.
All right.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but Snopes said that it's false and that there wasn't a second shooter on the fourth floor.
Oh,
Oh.
Snopes, case closed. All right, what are we even doing here anymore? Let's go have a drink.
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you. No, I
No, I
definitely
know. I
think
saw
there was
that
a
same
second
shit.
gunman
Yeah.
now. Yeah, dude, Jesus.
Fucking
No,
Snopes.
about the belt-fed machine gun or whatever. Now I know this is the conspiracy show, and this isn't what I personally believe, but it's also just very possible this guy was a 64-year-old millionaire version of Eric Harris, and he just had the means to carry out, his wildest massacre fantasies. He was just insane.
Right.
Could've just-
That is
I know
possible.
I've seen plenty of, like, Dan Bilzerian, for example. He's a famous Vegas guy. He's always posting videos of him shooting shit out there in the Nevada desert. Like, that you need to be a very influential or rich person to get your hands on. And tons of people in Vegas have this shit. So it's not like him having all those guns is not like it. That doesn't stick out to me. Tons of people, massive firearm collections in Vegas.
Well, I mean, Vegas would also be, I guess he didn't live there. But I don't know about, like, the whole, him being rich and, like, mental illness and all that playing a role, perhaps. Perhaps, like, the Eric Harris thing, maybe the guy was just nuts. But it doesn't really fit in with the typical age of mass shooters and whatnot. The guy was 64 years old.
Right. Like I was saying earlier, at 64 years old, unless you're getting testosterone replacement therapy, you're not really going to have the kind of, rage, or even the stamina to be doing that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
It can be as simple as, though, like, so there's other mass shooters, which I'm not, but it could be as simple as he's insane and he's schizophrenic, and a little green man who lives under the clothing rack in his basement told him to shoot this up, and all hours of the day is just in his head telling him to do it. That's not. I don't believe he was schizophrenic or just mentally ill. I think there's conspiracy here.
Well, I mean, hasn't there been a bunch of people that have come out and said that he struck them as, like, a quiet, calm guy?
Yeah, there was the guy who on Michael Savage, I posted this in the TRS group, the Michael Savage caller, who said that he had lived around the corner from Stephen Paddock for 10 months and had drank beers with him. There was a little corner bar nearby there where this guy and his coworkers would go, and Paddock would be in there playing video poker, and he chatted him up a few times. And he didn't seem like a weirdo, he said he didn't even seem like a leftist. And I'm almost positive that the guy said that Paddock liked Trump.
No, really?
So that would really put a damper in the left-wing conspiracy part of it.
If that guy is telling the truth.
Right, but this guy's a former Marine and a Savage listener, so who knows? I mean, he gave his name and everything.
I don't know.
Whatever. I'm sure all that stuff is fact checkable, but he said that he would drive by Paddock's house and he'd be there with the garage open and sitting in a lawn chair on his, like right there in the entryway of his garage, drinking a beer, just hanging out, waving at traffic.
Just cleaning or fucking hanging out, being a normal dude.
Well, his garage was probably very clean, but most boomers. No, I don't know. But I don't know, man. It's just this guy. Yeah, this guy. And the other thing is, this was one of the things that Jazzhands and I were talking about was the fact that his social media, and everybody is associated with this, their social media got scrubbed so quickly. Now, if you were an arms customer or like one of this guy's associates, and this shit happened, you'd want all that stuff taken down ASAP.
Yeah. So I actually I was live following the police scanner, and when they dropped the address, I eventually found the name of Marilou Danley or whatever, and then so we found her Facebook, and I actually saw the picture of her with Stephen Paddock, holding the shot or whatever. I couldn't find out anything about who that guy was. I thought it was just some random guy she was with, and that ended up being the shooter. So it's like this, like while this was going on, like he either didn't have social media to begin with, or it was scrubbed like before he did it.
Right. Yeah, no, it was definitely.
I think before he did it, because I think it was before he did it, because this was like so obviously planned beforehand. I think that's the one thing we can say with utmost certainty, is that this was, there was forethought in this attack, possibly months and months and months of forethought.
Murder of forethought. Well, unless anyone has anything particular to say, would you guys mind if I delve into a little bit about the police scanner?
Yeah, please go on.
So, initially when I heard about this shooting, I was checking Twitter, and it was like, Baked Alaska or somebody was tweeting about, there's unconfirmed reports of a shooting in Vegas, blah, blah, blah. And then, 10 minutes later, they're like, active happening. No one's talking about this. And so I went to the place I always do to listen to the police scanner. And by the time I found a reliable feed, it was about 41 minutes after I saw this initial tweet. And when I saw this initial tweet, it was 10 minutes old, 9 or 10 minutes old. And so I'm listening and I think it was 51 minutes or something like that between the last shots and when they found him, or between the initial shots and when they found him.
I thought it was like an hour. It was a little over an hour, wasn't it, when he shot that security guard?
It was something like that. So right around this time so when I joined the scanner is when he shot the security guard.
Real quick, I have what the official timeline is.
Okay, yeah.
So 10:05 p.m. first shots. 10:12, the first two officers arrive below and determine the shooting is coming from above. Mm-hmm. So that was 7 minutes later. 3 minutes later at 10:15, the last shots are heard. 2 minutes later, 10:17, officers arrived on the shooter's floor. 10:18, security officer tells police he was shot outside the shooter's room. 10:26 to 10:30, so there's a gap of 8 minutes where I don't know what happened, but at 10:26 to 10:30, the officers begin clearing rooms on the shooter's floor. 10:55, so they, I guess, started clearing around 10:30, and it took them about 25 minutes. 10:55, the officers arrive at the shooter's room, and then, 25 minutes later at 11:20, officers breach the shooter's room and find him dead.
Yeah, so it's like 50 minutes, I guess, an hour.
Right.
Yeah, about 55.
Yeah, so that probably adds up. I was getting on the scanner probably like 15 or 20 minutes before they breached the actual room, and I did hear the breach live, which I'll get into. But a few minutes after I joined this feed, I also had Fox News up in the background, and they were talking about, there's been no reports of multiple shooters in other locations. 10 minutes later, I'm on the feed, and they're talking about, we've got reports of shots at this hotel and this hotel. They named like one by one. They kept naming extra hotels, and I was hearing police radio in from these hotels. And now this is supposedly the last shots were fired at 10:15 or whatever, or whatever. It was something like that.
It's like 10,
yeah,
10:15. Like
and so during these so these people are radioing in. They're like, they're like, this lady, for example. I remember this clear as day. A female officer. I was like, God, what's she doing here? She's like, shots fired. And you can hear pop, 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 pop in the background, and commotion, and but it's kind of staticky. And then that goes quiet for a couple minutes, and then you hear commotion, and everyone on the line is trying to figure out what's going on. They're like, do you see the shooter? Do you see the shooter? And then you hear commotion and running and shit. And then eventually she's like, no, I don't see anybody. A few minutes go by. People are asking her to identify her call sign or whatever, her badge number. And she's hesitating because, frankly, it's like she's like a firefight just happened in front of her and she's in shock. And eventually, a couple of minutes later, a supervisor or something comes on and he says, Justin, that's a false alarm. And then they ask that lady again and she's like, and then she corroborates it. It was weird. And I had not known that the last shots were fired, 40 minutes or whatever before this. Apparently they 10:17, and this was like a few minutes before they breached the hotel with him in it.
What the fuck?
I saw on the news, Fox, and I know your memory fades with time. So about 24 hours later, 48 hours maybe, I saw the news and they were playing like snippets of this conversation that I remembered hearing on the police scanner. They didn't play the whole thing, so I decided I wanted to go back and listen to this. And maybe this was Monday afternoon. Yeah, I think this was Monday afternoon. So I went on there and I listened to it. It sounds fucking completely different. And I know I sound like I want to know why this information wasn't, this is relevant information they used on the news. I want to know why this wasn't made available immediately. And B, I want to know, I fucking forgot what I was...
It's for your security, Goy, that it wasn't released immediately.
Well, of course. They don't need all this stuff getting out there for everybody to see.
Well, there's a Snapchat video where you can clearly hear gunfire at the Aria Hotel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it's fucking fishy, dude. I want to know why they waited 24 hours to release those details, and then when I go back to try and listen to it, the recording is like completely chopped up and different. Mm-hmm. I didn't hear any evidence of her radioing in, and you can hear pops in the background. Something else that's not related. There were also around this time there were people popping in, and people were asking for their call signs and shit, and they weren't giving them. And then you never hear these people again on the fucking police scanner. Right.
Yeah, I remember you saying that on Monday, or was it Monday or Tuesday when we were talking about this? What do you think those are? Do you think those are agents or whatever? Or
see, I think that I don't know. Again, I don't know why the fucking shooter did this. I'm not looking at the motive. I'm looking at the conspiratorial details around it. Mm-hmm. But I think that whatever happened, and some spook agency came in and shut it down real quick, and they got a handle on it. And the reason why we're not hearing any details is because, like we said, there's this war between the intelligence agencies and that's it. Because a weird random guy comes in and shuts it. A calm guy comes in and shuts this down. A superior, obviously, and says this is a false alarm. These are all false alarms. And then everyone just starts going along with it. I don't know. It could just be benign, the fog of war type shit. But I'm not buying it.
No, I'm not buying that at all.
Especially if you heard shots. I mean, I believe you.
No, it's not like I was hearing somebody holding a fucking gun right next to a microphone. But it's you can hear something, and it sounds like fucking pop, 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 pop. Mm-hmm. I don't know what, and I don't know what would be making that noise, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I'm of the belief that there was more than one shooter. That there was actually several operatives, and I've seen the Snapchat from the Aria with where there's gunshots going off, and then there's other video and accounts of people talking about shooters on the ground. There's that one, Adam, you linked that in the Discord with that one weird long post about that one guy and his girlfriend, where they said they were shooting all over the place.
Yeah, that one is I don't even know what to make of it. It's like just weird, rambly, run-on shit that just seems insane.
On the scanner, they did mention they were talking about there were reports of people with rifles walking around and shit like that, and that was in real time. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like you said about these warring intelligence factions, like this could have been planned out,
right?
And like, you know, there was multiple shooters going and everything, and that they, you know, one other faction was basically able to like get in there, shut the shit down,
Right.
like stop the shooters, and like, but it, like these were opposing teams, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it was a rogue. There's like a rogue operation of some sort going on, and you know, some other intelligence agency swooped in and you caught them and shut it down. And
I think,
you know,
sorry to interrupt you, but like,
no, go ahead.
The dream narrative that I have is like, this was a, you know, typical gun control psyop thing, and then like Trump found out about it and asked and was able to like secretly, you know, send in a strike team or whatever to like go and shut it down, and is trying to, you know, like it didn't work. Like they're still pushing this gun control shit and everything, but he was able to prevent a further thing. That's like my fantasy narrative of what happened.
Are we just going around with like what we think may have gone down here?
Oh, we're speculating.
Yeah, this is
all speculation.
Yeah, this is the speculation hour.
Oh, right on. Well, I kind of think that this was because I mean, if you think about it, this is kind of like the dream scenario. It is a white guy. It's a thing with guns, and I do think that this was planned. I think that the deep state like made this happen with all the things that have been going on with Trump. It's, you know, the Russia thing didn't stick. All of these things didn't stick. So what's better than to make a play at the population's emotions by like having 60 dead people and almost 600 wounded out in a fucking field somewhere in Las Vegas, and then you get the left all rabid to call for gun control, and then have the right, who's been the one thing that they've been standing strong on, and the only thing that they've been able to be counted on for is the Second Amendment, soften them up at it with you know, a fucking almost 700 people getting shot in fucking Las Vegas.
Jeez.
By the way,
it's kind of like
oh, sorry,
dream
go
narrative. Ahead. Oh no, you're good. It's like the dream narrative. They got the white shooter with all the race relation issues that are going on in the country. You have
it's a fucking bunch of Republicans and 98% white.
And get this.
Yeah,
even the fucking NRA cucked. Here's a statement they made. Despite the fact that the Obama administration approved the sale of bump fire stocks on at least 2 occasions, the National Rifle Association is calling on the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives to immediately review whether these devices comply with federal law. The NRA believes that devices designed to allow semi-automatic rifles to function like fully automatic rifles should be subject to additional regulations. The NRA believes that anything regarding a gun should be subject to additional regulations. Like, this is fucked.
It's insane.
And it
Oh,
isn't.
the NRA all of a sudden is on this. Where are we? What the fuck, dude?
Well, no, seriously, it does. I mean, it makes perfect sense, though, right? I mean, what did it take to get these guys to swing over to our side? I mean, how many people fucking fought and died in the Revolutionary War to, I'm not trying to like get all McConstitution on you, but to make sure to put the Second Amendment in place, like thousands of motherfuckers died doing that. And now to take that right away, you want to take that right away from people, or to regulate that right. All it takes is to just 60 dead. I'm not saying all, downplaying, but you know what I mean. Just one incident that the government fucking orchestrates. And then here we are, the NRA, the one fucking lobby that's been on our side is like, well,
the whole time. Yeah,
I think
all of a sudden
we're open to it.
Universally, it's a one universe, aside from like elites and DC and Hollywood actors, it is the one universally like lauded and praised thing. Like, I know leftists who are members of the fucking NRA. Everyone likes it.
Well, that's the thing that brings us together, Goy, is our guns.
Exactly.
So, okay, now you said all it took was, 500 shot and 59 dead. Reminder that Israel is not above attacking United States citizens. The liberty.
Dude, this could be the Mossad, dude.
I'm not above. This is me. Is this show? I'm not above saying that this was, this is Israel doing this, or the Mossad, or the CIA, which might as well be the fucking Mossad.
Right.
They, and again, we're just the goyim. We're the cattle. We're dispensable.
Well,
even the best, according to the Talmud, even the best of the goyim should be killed. So what is 59 lives to them? They killed 2,400 in the towers in 9/11 on 9/11. So
Johnny, I'll tell you what 59 lives is to the Jews to get this done. It's a fucking bargain, goy, because they don't have to wipe out mass numbers of the population to take away the one fucking thing that has been a constant in this country. 59 people to do it. Fuck. Mm-hmm. I'll take that. They think.
Yeah.
On this, listen, this entire thing is, it's all, obviously this is all speculation, but on this, I'm going to stick to what I know. And what I know is exactly what the fuck it is like to be a little fucking piece on the deep state fucking chessboard. Everyone who is in Charlottesville knows. And okay, you guys can laugh and fucking, whatever, but it's like, that was, literally organized by the FBI to make us look bad. They were supervising the entire thing. I know what it's like, and I saw sketchy shit. So it's like, for you to tell me that there's no conspiracy anywhere where I saw, when I saw media staging areas in, firsthand, and you want to tell me these, stage shots don't exist when I saw it fucking happen?
Oh, yeah. The perfectly staged shots of the guy, it seems like a lot of these pictures from Charlottesville were staged, or at least the media was staged there to take the perfect shot, the magic flame throwing Negro, or what do we have? It looks like Plankton with a Nazi flag, but it wasn't. He just happened to be standing there. That was. Wrong place, wrong time. Sorry, bud.
They coordinated an entire alleyway of a gauntlet of violence where there's going to be cameras and everything, and it's how can, after experiencing that, and I know there plenty of your listeners saw that, after experiencing that, how could you dismiss things like this is just government psyop, the shooting in fucking Vegas?
Yeah, it's. I don't understand how people can discount a lot of the stuff that we talk about. I mean, we still have guys that have a hard time, believing it wasn't 19 Saudis hijacking 4 airplanes, with box cutters.
Well,
I mean, these
guys, I know why that is.
Why is that?
It's because we're talking about fucking normies here, dude. These are, look, the normies to white nationalists are the goyim to Jews.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about our guys that dismiss this stuff.
Oh, I thought we were just talking about straight normies. I thought all of our guys were on board with this. This is news to me.
Our guys aren't on board. There's a lot of our guys that aren't on board with everything, as evidenced by the 9/11 stuff with back in September. But as far as this goes, man, yeah, this has to be, in my opinion, this has to be either deep state operatives or, like Ignis said, warring factions in the deep state itself, or it's just plain old Mossad. I am a firm believer that there was more than one shooter. Actually, our we have a buddy in our group. He goes, we know who he is, but he goes by the name Concept, and his theory is this. So we have a double agent in the FBI who's running guns to ISIS sleeper cells in the USA, and when he got made into a patsy to create a narrative of white domestic terrorism, but the narrative is falling apart because the ISIS counterpart can't be kept in check by his FBI handlers, and it's an absolute deep state Hail Mary shit show is what's going on right now. What do you think of that?
That would be great if it came to light. That would be so great if it came to light. But I mean, it's never going to.
He's calling Paddock a double agent. Now
I think a little bit of. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. What?
No, I think it's I think that this. So my theory is that there's just a massive deep state fucking. We're in a giant pot of this deep state fucking mess, and that's pretty much what he's saying too. I wouldn't be surprised if there's fucking Islamic angles. I wouldn't be surprised if there's fucking left wing angles, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's fucking gun running angles to this shit. This shit is crazy.
Well, Johnny's talking about him being an FBI double agent, and wasn't there something about him being employed by the government at one point in time?
He was employed by the IRS. He worked for the IRS way back in the day, and then he worked for Lockheed Martin. And like I was talking to Jazz yesterday, the Lockheed Martin thing doesn't really set off any flags at all for me at all. It's like whatever. So he was some sort of auditor with Lockheed Martin. That happens. He probably got that job based on the fact that he worked for the IRS. The IRS one is the one that's more of the tricky, makes you scratch your head and go,
Both of those together, you got an interesting theory there.
You do.
Well, you also got to consider the IRS thing. Maybe that's where he found out what happened to his Social Security, and he's been planning this since the 80s.
Yeah, stockpiling weapons like those motherfuckers think they're gonna fuck me, Stephen Paddock, over.
You will rue the day. Yeah. Oh man. I'm still having a hard time with the fact that he had not only 23 guns in the room, 23 rifles in the room and a couple of handguns and thousands of rounds of ammunition, but like just the fact that he had random gun parts like the bump stocks and bipods that weren't on guns. And the other thing is, one of the guns that was on the bipod, one of the ARs that was on the bipod, had a laser dot sight. How accurate is a laser dot sight? I mean, after 100 yards. Probably not very, right?
No, this guy. I feel like there's a fucking cache of weapons waiting for a team who didn't come to collect them. I feel like this is like some sort of. I don't know why the deep state staged this, but I feel like it's some sort of staged deep state. Botched deep state operation where like just enough of it worked, all the dead bodies happened and shit, but a bunch of it fell apart.
What if? Now here's a big what if. I don't know. What if it was a ritualistic sacrifice at the foot of a pyramid and an obelisk made on 9/11/01? You got Route 91 on the 1st of October. It all numerically works out to 9/11/01. What about that?
Now, blood sacrifice in these things. This is some real spooky shit. We still don't know. What is a soul? What is this energy that
It's something that only white people have.
Right. What is this energy though that is
Whites
around?
are the only people
that is around life that is distinct from just energy like electricity. What is so it's like the human. I think we are the ultimate. Our souls are the ultimate form of power, and they're just trying to harvest them for nefarious purposes.
Well, who the reptilians, the Jews, the Archons? Who's this? Who's they?
The coastal elite. I think what Ignis is saying is that this was a gigantic foreskin theft operation.
Interdimensional, transdimensional fucking pedophile vampires, dude.
Hey, this is the Paranormies. We talk about all kinds of stuff here. Do believe
the Archon thing? That's never mind.
No. What about the Archon thing, Adam?
Oh, I was just gonna start talking about Gnostic Christianity, but that's way off there.
Whole other episode. That's a good one. We should do Gnostic Christianity and talk about the Archons and souls and stuff. Larry, did you say not only white people have souls?
No, I said that whites are the only people. So to say,
oh right,
you know what I mean,
right.
Blood.
Fair enough.
Not only,
we're not over on our show, so
not
We don't need the Alc Right post here.
It's okay. As far as like the soul thing, I'm not saying that this was like some sort of a soul theft. I mean, there are people out there that are the David Icke reptilian conspiracy people or whatever, and they believe that this was a ritualistic sacrifice. With the numerology works out in a weird sort of way. I don't know if that's like Adam was saying earlier, if that's just some weird synchronicity, but it took place. The shooting, they had to shoot across the Luxor. So, and the Luxor has that pyramid. It is a pyramid, and they have that giant obelisk there. And these are all things that have been used in rituals for millennia. And who knows? I mean, maybe that's part of it. I mean, maybe they did that here, to add that sort of weird tinfoil aspect to it. Who knows?
Things older than time.
Blood for Moloch,
I think,
or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if I think any of the synchronicities involved were not planned, they occurred as a expression of the synchronicity.
Mm-hmm.
But you pretty much have to believe that like Jews are like servants of a demon, which I
subscribe to that.
I thought the Jews were demons.
Pretty sure we're 4 for 4 on that there, Adam.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know that the Jews themselves are demons. I think they might be. I think they're
They just serve one.
Yeah, I believe they serve one as well. And it goes back. I mean, you can go back into the Khazar theory, and who they served and whatever. And I'm pretty sure the Khazars were known for their blood sacrifices and stuff too. I'm not sure if everybody believes it. David Duke and his people don't believe the Khazar theory. Neither does Dr. Kevin McDonald. But the Khazar theory, it just kind of makes sense to me. But the Khazars were a sex ritual, blood ritual tribe. And, all the things that the Jews are doing now that we claim that the blood libel, the poisoning the wells, the pedophilia, foreskin removal, all that kind of stuff just goes right along with the Khazar, with what the Khazars used to do. It's one of the reasons
what I think is most interesting.
The Russians hated him. That's why the Russians did what they did to him. And I believe, honestly, that's where the original hatred for the Russians came from, was the fact that they made the Khazars, they forced them to civilize themselves, like, to become a part of a religion, and to stop being this, hedonistic, nihilistic, sacrificial, blood tribe, I think that's why Russia had to be destroyed so many times.
I can see it.
Right? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, now we're getting into real paranormal shit. All right.
Well, I mean, you can elaborate if you'd like. I mean, I'd love to listen.
Oh, well, back when back before the Khazars came down out of the mountains, like they would do. I wish I'd pulled all this up earlier, but the theory is that the Tsar of Russia made the Khazars decide. Listen, he's like, listen, you guys are your tribal religion is bullshit. You sacrifice children, you drink blood, it's sex magic rituals and stuff. That's not how we do religion around here. You're going to have to pick, and your choices are Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. You can feel free to subscribe to any of those three, but you got to stop with this murdering, with the blood libel. And so they adopted Judaism and took Judaism over and became what are known as the Ashkenazi Jews. That's the short version of it. But because of that, and because it was the Russians, that the Jews decided that the Russian Empire would be the first that they would take out. The Khazars were pretty rich. They had, they were a warring tribe. They would go around and murder entire cities and take all their wealth, and and that's where they got all their money was from murder, really. And if you look at the way Russia got taken over by the Jewish Bolsheviks, who were probably all Ashkenazim as well. I mean, they're Jews, so, but that was extremely murderous. I mean, what they did to the Tsar and his family was super disgusting. But that's a whole other thing. But that's like the really short version of the Khazar theory. Yeah. But Dr. Duke,
I'll have to synthesize this with other things I know.
Yeah. I can find you some links and I'll post them and whatever. I read a book called Bella sent me a PDF called Esau to Edom, Who Were the Real Jews. And it's a pretty good book. It's a Christian. I mean, if you know what Christian identity is, the CI people believe that we was the real Jews, the Israelites, excuse me. That white people are the original 12 tribes of Israel. Even going as far as to state that the sons of the family of Abraham, I don't remember which tribe of Israel was Abraham, but, God said unto Abraham, I will make of you a great nation. And there's only one country in the world that's named Great, right? Great Britain. The tribe of Dan became Denmark, the mark of Dan, the Dan, and there's a bunch. I mean, it seems kind of thin right now, but, if you look into it, I mean, it's plausible. I mean, hey. It makes more sense than the we was Israelites, the black theory.
We was Israelites. It's like
we're
we
off
wasn't
track.
anything.
We was all those things. Yeah, we got way off track. But yeah, so this could have been some sort of Moloch worshipping blood sacrifice in the vein of all these blood sacrifices that the Jews have committed over history. I mean, just think about Jewish holidays. What's Passover? Passover is the celebration of the mass murder of the firstborn of Egypt. Right?
Yeah, dude, all of their holidays are basically Goyim dying. Is their triumph over Goyim.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, the Hanukkah story, Passover, I'm sure Rosh Hashanah, which Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur were just last month, a couple weeks ago.
Purim is in there. The chicken sacrifices that just happened, last week? The week before last? The chicken sacrifices?
That's remarkable that those animal rights cocksuckers don't complain about that. But I mean, we know why that is.
Yeah, we know why. But yeah, so I mean, this whole shooting thing could be a ritualistic sacrifice. We won't know, but I mean, it's fun to speculate on. I mean,
and
the numbers.
They'll never let a good disaster go to waste. Hell, fucking push some gun control while you're there, slow-mo. Hi, get us a discount on the gun control while you're out.
Right. While you're out there killing the goyim. Man, 59 people had to die for this. And here's the other thing: did 59 people die?
No, I think.
Well, I was actually gonna send you a message the day after it happened that said nobody died in Las Vegas, you dumb idiot.
I think the opposite. I think there's there was definitely multiple shooters and they definitely got a lot more than just were there, and I think there's 500 dead. That shit was going on for way too fucking long for there not to be
where
more.
are all this? I mean, we have a huge social media presence online now. Where are all these families of these people who lost their daughter and sons and mothers and fathers and whatever? Where are all these people? You would think. You would think that if they were going for gun control, they would round up everybody who died, get all their families, and make a gigantic infomercial about gun control,
Yeah, dude. Well, they had that protest, and they had a fucking Gabrielle Giffords. They trotted her out again to give something on.
Dude, what was the guy? Fucking Jared Loeffner or whatever.
Jared Lee Loeffner.
Yeah. Gabby Gifford come out and be like, "Youth gun control." No, I'm sorry.
Well, no, I mean, I think this happened. Like, there was a protest in D.C., I think.
It happened, Larry. It fucking happened.
It happened.
Yeah, we're not going to politicize this. Fucking three drinks later, like out.
Right? It wasn't even 3 drinks later. Did you see the Hillary Clinton post on Facebook? Let's not get all political, but here's my political opinion on this. Like,
dude, before the bodies were even called, she tweeted about I don't think they even killed the shooter yet. And she was talking about silencers. What the fuck does that have to do with the guy sniping a bunch of people with the fucking machine gun? Right. It sounded like a belt.
None of them are.
She's
the thing
so
is people
fucking out of touch.
People don't even understand what a suppressor is. It's a flash suppressor. They think that these things actually, like the movies, have people believing that you can make a gun go pew pew pew.
She used the word silence, though.
I know.
She didn't say suppressor.
Yeah, dude. It was like, Liam. That makes you think that fucking Liam Neeson from Taken's up there with a real special set of skills, just preying on motherfuckers in Vegas.
I forgot what show I was on for a second. I started yelling.
It's okay. It's okay. You can yell. You can yell.
Yeah.
I've done it many times. I'm trying to contain myself right now. The gun control narrative is, well, the thing is here's another thing that Jazzhands says is that they'll never get their gun control. They keep talking about it, but it's all talk. He thinks it's all talk.
I don't know. The NRA is cucking.
Yeah. Might have to call Jazz out on this one.
That was like the one thing that you could count on was the NRA to have your back. And now they're like, this is just the start. Like, they're going to keep cucking. There's no fucking way they're going to recover from this. Especially because they're posting ranks on about who is able to vote on stuff. Because if you want to vote on the leadership and their boards and councils and stuff, like, you got to be a member for a certain amount of time. And they've been closing ranks on that. Because I think the leadership has consolidated and now they're moving forward. That's my take.
I agree. I think they done fucked up. It's the slippery slope. Give an inch, they take a mile. Shit, it's all true. And not only that, Donald J. Trump, I think his exact quote was like, "We are going to talk about gun legislation. Believe me." Now, of course, it's an ambiguous statement, but this is a New York billionaire. He's been around leftists his entire life. And guns are not an integral part of his life. I don't think he would have a problem doing something. I don't think it's political.
Donald Trump's not an ideologue.
I know.
Like, it's not part of his ideology. So it's something that's negotiable for him because it's not something that he lives every day. But this whole thing with the NRA, like, cucking and all that, they don't even have to get, like, gun legislation. All they have to do is to get these lists, you know what I mean? To fucking, just to put you on some list that they define the terms that puts you on it, and then you don't have any Second Amendment rights.
Right. No, that's actually something Rand Paul, funnily enough, I remember him filibustering over shit like this a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, dude,
imagine being... Go ahead.
This could be like the last-ditch effort because think about it. In 2018, there's going to be a lot of fucking incumbents that go out, I think. And before the Congress flips in that direction, perhaps this is like the last Hail Mary pass to get some legislation through to make this happen, this gun control thing. And at this point in time, there might just be enough cuckolded faggots in the Republican Party to let that go down.
No, I believed this already, but whenever I hear it again and again, I firmly believe that this definitely was a setup, and they were literally trying to get something out of this. I don't know if it's gun control or impeachment or what, but it Jesus Christ, man, hearing it walk through like that, it's like they wanted to attack these fucking white country people. That's a perfect target. These are all NRA supporters.
And now they can get all the country music stars to start cucking on guns and shit. And then all these impressionable young white folk are going to be growing up with this stuff. And, next generation starts voting. And they're either going to gas us all or, cuck us to death.
Dude, in like it was like a week or like something like that. Some amount of time in a short window before this event, there's this huge festival called Life is Beautiful. It's like an EDM, you know. It's basically a shit lib e-tard festival, and that is I've been there actually.
Of course you have.
But that is that's a superior target by all fucking accounts, and you know, of course he could have whatever reason he did for shoot. Maybe the little green man told him this is the concert, but it's like. There's a lot more carnage that could have been had, and it's just like that's the polar opposite of what a country concert supposedly represents.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, the entire month of September and the entire season, really, there's tons and tons of music festivals and different events, and this is the only event in Las Vegas that could be like big event. I'm talking that could be construed as like. Anything vaguely right wing.
Right wing, Jason.
Well, what do you guys think of the altright.com's take on this? Is that it was completely a targeted assassination of whites?
I completely
white people.
Agree 100%. I think Vincent Canfield said that or something. I don't know who wrote that, but I agree.
You saw the article too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I agree. Yeah, I can see that. Like it definitely because it's not only an attack on white people, the physical attack, it's also, you know, the attack that's going to come, the backlash against whites for him being the shooter.
Well, what is this at the end of the day though? I'm not cutting you off, sorry, but I don't mean to. I mean, but at the end of the day, this is a white race mixer. His wife was a fucking hot, like not even a hot, a full blood fucking.
Well, that's not his wife. It's his girlfriend. He was
deplorable tier.
No,
he was deplorable tier.
It's just, but it's like it's a piece of shit. It's like this guy stands for everything that is like antithetical to white nationalism. It's like, you know, the fucking core of this. We want white birth rates to fucking rise, and this guy is race mixing. And then he fucking attacks a bunch of fucking white people.
Well, granted, dude, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's a 64-year-old. How many kids is he going to make?
Well, no, but you know what I mean?
Children.
What that
He
represents.
doesn't have any, exactly. Oh, speaking of his brother, speaking of segues, we totally didn't even talk about his sketchy-ass fucking Jewy brother.
Oh yeah, he's like, well, you're gonna find out what you find out, you know. And
he's laughing, and then his eyes are going all over the place, and he's like, you know, it's his life was an open book. You could just, you know, he went to college, he got a job. Like, dude, I've said this before. I don't speak to my brother very often, but I know where my brother went to college. You know, I know what my brother does for a living. Whether I, you know, like this guy, just check the public record and you'll find out. You know, just check he kept saying the public record. And then the second interview with the brother was really weird because like, it was like, he was like humble bragging about how they would like tip, you know, like they would like, you know, they would tip the busboys extra. They would tip this guy and tip that guy. And if you look, there's that one picture from Paddock's room of room service, which is another thing. There was room service for more than one person on that receipt. Unless Stephen Paddock was just a fucking fat piece of shit pig and liked to fucking eat 5 meals at once. You know, there was room service for more than one person. But the bill was like $70 or whatever, and he tipped him like $10 on 70. That's not even 10%. I mean, it's barely over 10. What is that? Is that 15%? Is that, yeah. Is that okay? $10 on 70?
Yeah.
Are you a Jew? Are you a Jew?
5 of $70.
I don't know anything about math, dude.
I don't either. Anyways, he was bragging about how he would get comped, like they get, you know, hundreds of dollars in sushi comped and stuff and whatever. And like, it was just weird. He just basically bragged about how rich his family was more than anything else. And he had like didn't really sound like he had any empathy for the people that were shot.
Well, that's like, I mean, what is it? Are there people speculating? I mean, whether or not he's a Jew or not? Because I mean, he sounds incredibly Jewish, like to listen to him talk.
The brother looks and sounds completely Jewish. Yeah.
And like, didn't he say something like, "Well, it's not like he didn't hate his girlfriends after they broke up," or
right, yeah,
or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I was listening to that today on my long drive I was on, and I was like, I didn't get to look at the guy. It was just over my speakers, and I'm thinking to myself, like, what in the hell? Where did they find it? What fucking? Yeah, what synagogue did they pull this fucking guy out of?
Yeah. He seems really, really sketchy in general. I don't think we're ever going to know much from him.
And then they cover it up with the whole people react to things differently. You know, you can't. Who's to say what's a normal reaction to something like this?
Right. Well, if you just found out that your brother murdered 59 people and shot 500 more, what would your reaction be?
I wouldn't laugh, asshole.
Yeah, I probably would still remember where he went to college. You know,
he didn't even know if he had married that fucking Pinoy.
That's true. He didn't know a whole lot about his brother, other than the fact that they had a lot of money. And wasn't there the one part where he said, "My brother was an like he almost said like arms dealer, army of one, Armenian assassin." You know, what was he trying to say there? And he cut himself off. He said he was an R and kind of like drifted off. You know, was that like something he almost slipped and said? And speaking of slipping, Adam, did we talk about the video with the sheriff yet? With the
Oh, yeah, that one's just fucking weird. The sheriff gave a press release. You can look it up on YouTube. And from the video that I was listening to, at about 34 minutes and 48 seconds-ish, you can hear someone whisper. Yeah, 35. I don't know. I don't remember what I said. You can hear on a hot mic a very gentle whisper, "Don't go there."
Yeah, they were talking about, I believe they were talking about the senators from Nevada saying something or something like that. And yeah, you can hear, "Don't go there," like really quietly. You can barely hear it. But somebody behind the sheriff is telling him not to talk about it. So,
dude,
you know,
like this, to me, this isn't even up for speculation. This is a fucking, like, this is a government job. This was perpetrated by the government. This guy was a patsy. They put a bunch of people in that building to shoot these people.
And they just popped this guy and made up some funky story, huh?
I mean, that's yeah, and I think it was all in a push to get something going with this gun control bullshit. I'm sorry to like cut you off there, dude, but like that hot mic, I didn't even know about. I didn't know about that.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree with you.
They're coaching people at fucking press conferences. Don't go there. Like, oh my god, dude, unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh no, I saw that and I was like, nope, that's what happened. That kind of further cements my belief that this was a pre-planned operation and that Paddock was a patsy. I don't believe.
Dude, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. As soon as you what?
As soon as I heard like the head honcho guy, mysterious stranger, appear on the radio and like shut everything down, you know, he had a command. Like you could tell this guy was in charge. And tell them, oh no, it's a false alarm, and then have the woman come in and agree, like reluctantly. It's
talking
like,
about on the scanner.
Yeah, on the police scanner. It's like this guy was a spook. I knew this is God. I concur completely with everything Larry said.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree 100% with that. I mean, you've got all kinds of evidence pointing to multiple shooters. You've got automatic weapons that are not bump stock fired. That sounds like belt fed, which would be military grade stuff. You know, and everybody's like, well, you can buy and you can get an automatic weapon in Nevada. You need an ATF, a special ATF stamp, and it costs a lot of money, and it's not easy to get. granted, a millionaire like Paddock, is he really a millionaire? I mean, or is this just stuff that's being manufactured? We really don't know anything. This is the Paranormies Present, the speculation hour.
Yeah.
But I'm going to agree with Larry that this was a setup. This was completely done. First of all, what the fuck kind of boomer knows how to program GoPros to work with a fucking an iPad without having Siri help him, or his grandson?
Yeah, and this whole thing with like him knowing and being able to execute what he did with no one knowing that he practiced shooting, or he wasn't an arms enthusiast or anything like that.
Yeah,
like,
where's the guy from the gun range near where he lives? It's like, oh, I saw Paddock in here all the time shooting. He came in here every other Thursday and would shoot for 2 hours. Like, where's that guy?
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, okay, so if that wasn't going on, and no, this.
Oh, but
God
Larry,
damn it!
wait.
Yeah.
What if he was? He's Bill Ayer's age, right? Bill Ayer from was he the Weatherman or whatever? Is he the Obama's communist terrorist buddy? He's the same age. He could be some sort of an MK Ultra sleeper plant. Maybe he was trained when he was younger, and they erased his memory and put some sort of trigger. Have you seen that meme where it's Paddock on the phone in the hotel? He's like, I need a wake-up call. And the girl at the front desk is like, the red fox runs at midnight, and his eyes his eyes start glowing or whatever. It's like, what if he was,
No.
What if he was a sleeper agent and they triggered this thing and he just all of a sudden became Jason Bourne? I don't buy that.
That's pretty intense, dude. He looks, I mean, I don't know.
The two pictures we have of him. The two pictures we have are the one shot of him with his eyes closed, taking a shot with his Filipino girlfriend. He's got this tequila shot or whatever the fuck he's got in his hand. And then the other one is like a picture from like 15 years ago where he's like 40-something. Or like
yeah, he looks like an absolute madman.
Yeah, he's just like, he looks like he's he's been out in the sun all day. His hair's all, what little bit of hair he has is all messed up. And yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm going
definitely
with the
is the perfect patsy.
Oh yeah, man! It's and the ease with which they scrubbed his identity. He's got no media presence. He's got no social media presence. He's got not much in the way of public record. Stephen Paddock is not a common name, but it's not a completely unique name. It's not like
sounds pretty run of the mill to me.
Yeah, Stephen Paddock. The thing is there's the day that this happened, we were looking around, and one of the guys in TRS pulled up a guy, Stephen Paddock, who was a sex offender. Like, hey, he could have been a sex offender. I mean, there's more than one Stephen Paddock, so this could be a combined set of information from a bunch of different people. He may not even have existed. This Stephen Paddock could be a spook.
Those were holograms out in that field.
Dude, listen. Tupac's hologram at Coachella. I knew that was the future.
Did you really?
Holograms everywhere.
You saw Tupac's? Was he singing with Michael Jackson?
I don't know. I just saw the video online, dude.
Oh, I thought you went to Coachella.
I thought you were at Coachella.
But you remember when that shit happened? That was crazy when people first started talking about holograms. I was just a normie. I was like, what?
Yeah. Oh, I know. It was like hologram. I was a conspiracy theorist at the time. I remember that. I'm like, dude, totally the holograms are like whatever. Like, holograms are real, man. It's going to be a thing.
I was saying that. I was thinking they were going to use holograms to frame people for murders and shit. I was all crazy about it.
Implying they don't? I mean, I don't know. You watch too much TV, Ignis. You watch too much TV.
Stephen Paddock. All right, here's a hot take. Stephen Paddock was a hologram, and he is the patsy. The hologram is the patsy for the government took and capitalized on Weave's idea of nigger killing robots, and they made white people killing robots. And
Holy
Paddock
shit.
is the cover for that.
No!
Weave, what did you do, Weave? God damn it. Oh man. All right. So let's go around the room real quick and give our final takes on the situation. We'll go with we'll start with Larry. Give us your quick 1 minute synopsis.
It was this was a government perpetrated attack on American citizens. They have a white shooter to push the race, to further damage whites in the race narrative, and they have the gun narrative when all the dead people in the field to soften up the right, weaken their resolve to stand firm on the Second Amendment, and they want to take your fucking guns away and get regulation to go along with whatever some speech laws that may be coming in the future.
All right. Ignis?
I would like to say that I concur with Larry, and I'm actually going to take it a step further. I think things like this are going to happen with increased frequency. They're going to grow increasingly bolder, not only the attacks, but the attacks on our rights from the Jews and the elites and the government. And I don't know. It's a pretty grim outlook, if you ask me. But
it is. Adam?
Pretty much the same thing. Deep State project. The Deep State is no longer unified, and they haven't been. These factions have been increasingly at odds, and so there is not. The only consensus that they can get in the Deep State is shut down all news about this, get it through the news cycle as fast as possible, and the people on the ground that control the news cycle, or that carry out what they've been told to do, are going along with it because they, for example, like Las Vegas wants people to keep coming there, and there are other motives. And but yeah, this is a gun grab.
All right. Well, I just got an update from one of the guys in the Facebook group. The Vegas. Oh wait, this is the same video you posted, Adam. But the sheriff said the word suspects with an S on the end. Suspects.
Well, we didn't even bring this up, or maybe you did while I was going to the bathroom, and I guess we probably don't have time because things are winding down and people are getting carried away. But the devil is in the details, and everything is right out there for you to see. The woman, the girlfriend, she lawyered up immediately, and our man Jazzhands McFeels thinks that is the most significant detail to come to light.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, she did lawyer up, and that's one thing that I'm pretty sure the Jews didn't want anybody to do, because now they can't control her and her narrative anymore, unless it's in her lawyer's name is like Shmuel, and it's fucking Jaime's brother or whatever, but which is a good possibility.
Dude.
So my take is that this was a complete setup. Stephen Paddock is a patsy. I'm not sure about the gun grab part so much, but now that the NRA cucked, I can see it a little more. But I'm also not above thinking that this was some sort of, with the dates and the location and whatever, the 9/11/01 Moloch feeding, ritualistic sacrifice. And hey, I mean, if you look at some of the numerology and gematria that goes along with some of these mass shootings and other tragedies, even going as far as the Iraq War, the shock and awe, it happened. It started at the beginning of an ancient festival and ended at the end of that same festival. And shock and awe translates to Shekinah, which is an ancient bloodletting ceremony. I mean, they do this stuff. They use us to do it for them because we're just their cattle. But hopefully they don't take all the guns. We'll see. All right, you guys got anything else to add before we?
Wes Bellamy is a fucking nigger.
Yeah, and time travel makes you gay.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
we usually do that. We usually do the time travel makes you gay as we're fading out, but we'll get it in early. Yeah, Larry, you got anything you want to add?
Well, it's really important.
Yeah, here in the coming days, there's me and a couple of other guys, Paul Mosley and them, have a show coming out on Vandal Void, Haidt House. You guys should go listen to it.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that to come out. It's pretty good, huh?
I mean, the first episode might not be like that good.
I think
What kind of show is Haidt House?
I don't know, more focused. We don't really talk about articles so much or anything on the Alc Right Rises anymore. So more or less just more focused on like crime and whatnot.
Larry's the emperor from Star Wars, and he's sitting there on his throne telling everyone to let the anger flow through them. It's basically just emperor posting on the show, and it's
Well, no, I mean it's really just me and Paul getting like really mad about shit.
We're trying to build lore that you.
I have a lot of rage inside of me. I've been funneling it through Mike and the Mad Wop, but hey, if you ever need an angry Italian, just let me know.
Hell yeah, man, definitely.
We have angry Aryans too. We have Adam, so and I'm sure Adam can angry post.
Yeah, I could get angry sometimes.
Oh yeah, he's such a nice guy,
you can
though.
just
Adam's
come
such a
on and
nice guy.
get drunk and scream. Yeah.
I actually haven't drank in a real long time.
Well,
So
you can
maybe I
just
should,
drink water
now that
and
I have like no tolerance, I can just get really trashed.
Well, you don't even have to really drink. I didn't drink last time. I didn't really get that mad, though. I think we were talking about, like, weaponizing the top 10th of blacks, like, conning them into just destroying the other 90% of blacks. And then just taking them out, too. Yeah.
It's got legs.
It does. All right, guys.
Invest $1 million into this.
Oh, what'd you say, Ignis?
I'll invest $1 million into that idea. I think it has legs.
Right on. All right. Well, thank you, Larry and Ignis from the Alc Right Rises, and Larry now from the new Haidt House. You guys need to check that out. You guys, Ignis, you guys got anything you want to shill? Your Twitters or anything? Or
Follow Alc Right on Twitter. Larry quit Twitter because Twitter's for faggots.
Yeah.
Not wrong.
Yeah. Twitter is for faggots and Jews, dude. A lot of kikes on Twitter. So I got off there.
Listen, burn your house down, listen to Haidt House, move to Belize.
That's right. Listen to Haidt House. You don't have to read Siege. All right. Adam, you got anything?
Nope.
All right. Well, all right. For TRS, for the right stuff.biz, I'm Johnny Monoxide with Adam Haidt, Larry Ridgeway, and Ignis Fatus. This has been the Paranormies Present, the Ahnenerbe Hour. We'll talk to you later.
Gayer than hell.
It's quite an interesting concept. Those little pass it on messages, I mean. Chain letters and telling people if you don't post this in 5 different comments, you'll die tonight. Interesting indeed, but it lacks originality. It's the same story with each one. Pass it on or die. People pass it on, they go on living. Happy ending for everyone. But what if there was a little twist? Let's say there's a photo out there. It's not one of those can't find it anywhere else type of pictures. It's actually really easy to find. Just use your chosen search engine and type in black and white photo of twins. You should receive a variety of different black and white photos of twins. But let me help you and tell you what to look for. You're looking for the picture of 2 twin girls. They're wearing black dresses and white headbands. The twin on the left has a straight face, while the one on the right is smiling. Found it? Good. Now as you can see, there's nothing particularly unnerving about this photo. It may be a little creepy, but other than that, it looks as normal as any other photo you've come across. Now here's the twist. If you do pass it on, you die. Now I know most of you would leave the picture be, but let me elaborate. What happens when you don't pass this picture on to someone else? If you leave it alone after seeing it, you'll have nightmares. I know, doesn't sound as bad compared to the alternative, but trust me, it gets worse. It will start with something simple. You'll see the twins standing side by side in the darkness. The twin on the left will leave, and you will be left alone with the smiling twin. And just before you wake up, she'll whisper, "Pass it on." And her smile widens ever so slightly. I know it doesn't sound like much of a nightmare. The first of many is more subtle. But with each new nightmare, things change. Gradually, she gets closer and closer to you, while her smile widens to impossible lengths. You can't help but feel greatly disturbed and unsafe. You try to wake yourself up. You try to move, but nothing works. You're trapped. She'll bring out various instruments. A knife, chains, gasoline, and matches. Many devices to make you feel uneasy. You panic. You can't help but think of all of the horrible things this twisted, sadistic little child has in store for you. And does she ever have some horrible things in store for you? Let's take a moment to think about the possibilities. What do you think she'll do? Wrap the chains around your head and pull until your skull splits? Gouge out your eyes? Cut out your tongue? Slice off your ear? Burn you alive? Knowing that you can't move? That and more, my friend. You take the term unimaginable tortures too lightly until you fall asleep. If you think she'll lash you with chains, she'll do so after she's laid them in fire and stuck railroad spikes in your back. If you think she'll burn you, she'll tear open your torso, pour gasoline into the wound, and then light the match. You'll wake, screaming. Your body will remember the pain it's endured while you quiver in fear. Every time you wake up, you notice subtle differences about your body. A bruise here, a scratch there. But as each nightmare gradually gets worse, so do the marks that have been left behind. The scratches will become fresh, bloody scars before long. If you dreamt that you took a sledgehammer to the knee, you'll wake up and get out of bed only to have your knees buckle below you as pain surges through your kneecaps. All the while, her words still ringing in the back of your mind. You try to avoid sleeping, but it's no use. The twins make their way into your reality. They're always there, at your home, your job, or at school. You would fight back if they weren't in the faces of your loved ones. You'll hide yourself away from everybody in an effort to avoid seeing those demonic children. It won't help you, though. You see them in that millisecond of darkness when you blink. You see them in reflections, your peripheral vision. You see them everywhere. You can't escape. You can try suicide, but they won't let you. That shotgun that you have hidden in the closet is useless. It seems to be missing its firing pin. The variety of cold and flu and pain medications won't help. You just can't seem to hold them down long enough for them to take effect. Soon enough, you won't be able to distinguish your dreams from reality. You'll awaken from one torture, only to be greeted with another. You've given the twins a new playmate. And do they ever like to play? Well, at least one does. While one plays with you, the other will stand there, watching, not heeding your cries for help. She'll stand there, chanting the words, "Pass it on," over and over again. There's no happy ending to be had. If you think otherwise, you're just as naive as you were before. So now that you've seen the picture and heard about the rather grim future, what will you do? Leave the picture be and pray this was all just some twisted story? Or will you pass it on?